Oh, okay.
All right. Welcome everyone to the October Park, Recreation, Waterfront, and Resiliency meeting. We do have quite a lot of things to talk about tonight. Our district manager, Susan Stetcher, will be the Zoom facilitator for this meeting. Susan, did you want to go over a few things about Zoom procedure, and I can, fill in what you may have missed?
We're using, well, I'm gonna say I was not prepared for that, so you can probably do it, but we're using the chat only for people to sign in, and it's not going to everybody. There'll be an opportunity after each agenda item for people to speak, and Trevor will let people know how they can ask to be called on, and you can take it away, Trevor.
Yeah. The way we're going to proceed is we're going to have the agencies present an item. We will first go to committee members to speak, and then we will allow folks who have attended the meeting to speak using the raise hand feature. I just want to keep in mind, this is especially for committee members, that we want to keep this as efficient as possible. There are 10 items on the agenda. I mean, that's partially due to the fact that we're coming off no meetings in August, but also the fact that there's a lot of things going on in our neighborhood. But in order to have a fair discussion and a robust discussion on each item, I'm going to really lean on my committee members to keep it as efficient as possible. That being said, let's begin the meeting with the minutes that were sent out. Were there any corrections or objections that we're going to deem them approved if there were not? Okay, Ryan, if you want to take attendance for this meeting.
Trevor Holland.
Present.
Kay Webster.
Present.
Ryan Gillum, present. David Adams.
Present.
Yaron Altman.
Present.
Carlin Chan.
Present.
Catherine Freed.
Present.
Valentina Jones.
Present.
Robin Chattel.
Present.
Daniel Tainell.
He's out today.
Josephine Velez.
Present.
Troy Velez.
Present.
That's it.
Thank you, Ryan. Susan, if you could move the number, or I don't know if he needs to stay as an attendee, but Jamil is on for this evening.
Yeah, I can't make him a panelist because he's only on the phone, but I gave him permission to talk.
Okay. We're going to start with the Parks Manager update. We're going to keep this brief. I know that, we're going to keep it brief. So I'm going to pass it over to Jamil.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Trevor, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
we can hear you.
Hi, so the update for the district is this week we picked up 2 needle kiosks for Allen Malls. We're going to place the 2 units between Delancey and Grand Street. 2 high traffic areas. I walked into it today. There's high needle usage. We hope it'll be a good way of ensuring safety for the public and also our staff that clean the Allen Malls. We also, earlier in August, we finished up the completion of the Saturday basketball courts, all 3 courts, the one at Houston, the one at Nike courts, and also one at Grand, received the sports coating, and any cracks or any kind of trip hazards were addressed. Next week, we have our seasonal staff that went for seasonal step-ups. They're returning. So we have our supervisor that's returning to Tompkins. We have one returning from that will handle Seward, and another one that will be helping us with the Tompkins area. We're supplying more staff to help out some of the issues we have over there. Also, a positive update: interviewed CSAs and CPWs for full-time lines. Several of the staff that are working in District 3 got the job. We're just hoping they stay in the district. That's my update.
All right, thank you, Jamil. From the committee, if we want to give some brief questions, but I really want to get to the agenda. If anyone has any questions about what was just discussed. All right, thank you. We will go to the first agenda item, not the first agenda item, but the first item on the list of or what I have, and that is the proposed plan for the renovation of the multipurpose court. I'm sorry, for Hamilton Fish Recreation Center. Steve Simon, is he on?
I haven't seen him. There's anyone from Parks to do this? Can you raise your hand?
Hi, this is Abokar Guled. I'm the project manager for this particular project. I can present.
Okay,
Should I share my screen to bring up the presentation?
Yes.
yes,
Okay. Just give me 1 second.
I just made you a co-host.
Okay, great. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Okay. Hello?
Yep,
Yes, we can.
Okay, okay, great. Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Abokar Guled. I'm the project manager for the Hamilton Fish Recreation Center reconstruction project. The rec center is located on Pitt Street between Stanton Street and East Houston Street. The goals for our project are to provide ADA access routes to and within the main building and the two wing buildings, which we refer to as the East Houston Street House and the Stanton Street House. Programmatic reconfiguration of the main building, reconstruct the terrace to be watertight, replace portions of the roofs at the main building and two wing buildings, repair and replace in kind deteriorating portions of exterior components and interior finishes at all three buildings, and refurbish the existing window frames at all three buildings. And concurrently, there is a project to reconstruct the playground that's being done by our landscape team. So the Hamilton Fish Park is located on the Lower East Side. We're not in a current flood zone. Again, we're in the Lower East Side, so there's various land use categories. There are several parks and playgrounds nearby. And here's an aerial snapshot of the entire park. So if you kind of look towards the bottom of the image, that's the main rec center building and the terrace behind it. The terrace faces the outdoor Olympic pool and the training pool in the center of the site. And flanked by the main building are the East Houston Street House and the Stanton Street House on opposite ends of the site. And as you can see, we also have the playground, which is being reconstructed. And the outdoor basketball courts and fitness equipment was recently reconstructed just last summer. So just to kind of talk about the circulation of the site and the buildings, again, you have the main rec center building in the center. And currently there are two entrances into the park. There's the main entrance that's towards the left side of the image, that green arrow that's near the East Houston Street House. That's the main entrance. There's also a recently completed 5-foot entrance by the Stanton Street House. But the primary entrance, again, is by the East Houston Street House on the left side. Unfortunately, there is no ADA compliant access to the main building from the park. There are there's a concrete ramp and kind of a wooden makeshift ramp to get to the main building, but those are not ADA compliant paths to get to the building. So primarily what we're trying to do is improve access to the building for wheelchair bound people and just everyone in general to be able to access the building equitably. So as part of our design, we are proposing to remove one tree. That's that magenta colored X to the left of the main building. We also have a tree removal due to poor condition. That's right above the Stanton Street House on the right side of the site. And then we have a tree transplant candidate that's next to the East Houston Street that's on the left side of the site. The reason we're transplanting that tree is because that building also has ADA access issues. So in order to accommodate a new ADA access ramp, that tree that's near that building needs to be transplanted. So I'm just going to show some photos. The building it's just a striking example of Beaux-Arts style architecture. It's really beautiful, but unfortunately, again, it's not accessible from the main entrance. This is the main sidewalk entrance along Pitt Street. Similarly, on the opposite side, the building is not accessible either. In this image, you can see the main building and part of the pool deck. And between the main building and the pool deck is the outside terrace. That terrace is also going to be reconstructed because it's leaking down into the basement spaces, and it just needs to be repaired. As are those brick walls that you see facing the pool. Those are also going to be reconstructed. Here's some images that kind of show the grade changes that we have on site. As I mentioned, we have ramps that go up to the terrace level, but unfortunately, they're not ADA compliant. They're just too steep. And as you can see in image 5, we have a wooden makeshift ramp that is just not code compliant at all. And we also have these kind of dank alcoves that are just kind of an eyesore here in image 6. We are proposing to kind of infill those walls. There's 2 of these, infill the walls and bring this egress door to the face so that we eliminate this kind of alcove condition. On the opposite side, we have similar grade changes and challenges, as you can see in the photos. And again, we have that kind of alcove situation. Here's some photos of the interior lobby. And so a photo of the manager's office and game tables. One thing I'd like to point out is we're not replacing the windows, but we are going to rehabilitate the frames and repaint the frames. And here are photos of the 2 wing buildings. Again, the East Houston Street House, which is used primarily as a women's changing room facility and for small children during pool season. But if you look at that image number 14, you can see there's a ramp up, but that's not a code compliant ramp. That's just too steep. So part of our project is to reconstruct this entrance to this building, which is why one of the trees has to be transplanted. Image 15 shows the Media Lab building. Again, we just are going to provide ADA compliant access to that entrance. So just to walk through some of the schematic drawings that we've developed, the roofs of all 3 buildings are going to be replaced. The roofs are 30 years old, and it's just time to replace the membrane and the insulation below. And let me just stay on this slide for a moment because this shows our demolition and proposed site plans. Just walking through the different items. Number 1, again, is to reconstruct that terrace. Number 2 is to provide an ADA compliant access route from the park entrance to the terrace, which would bring you into the main building. Number 3, we're going to replant trees to replace the ones that we're removing. Number 4, we're going to, again, make the existing ramps code compliant. And same as number 5. Number 6, again, providing ADA access to the East Houston Street House. That's the changing room building. And number 7, provide ADA access to the Stanton Street House. And also, we're going to be providing DOT street lighting around this new ADA access ramp to the building. Now, I just want to take you inside the building. These are the first floor plans, the demo and proposed plans. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we do have some programmatic changes to the building that we're proposing to improve the building. So I think the key item number 2 is an ADA lift to take you between floors. Currently, there's no ADA access between the floors. If you're in a wheelchair and you somehow manage to make it to the first floor, there's really no way for you to get from the first floor to the basement or vice versa. We're also going to bring the cardio room equipment from the basement to the first floor and introduce a dance studio to the first floor. We're also reconfiguring the manager's office and adding a toilet room to the first floor. Going down into the basement, again, we're putting a vertical lift basically in the center of the building in the basement. We're also combining the fitness and strengthening room equipment into one space, which will allow us to open up a lot of space for youth programming and public program space. We're also planning to make the boiler room energy efficient and improve the efficiency of the equipment in that room. And we're also basically consolidating some of the staff and storage areas for the park staff there. And again, we're number 10 over here on the top and bottom. We're kind of eliminated those alcoves that we saw in some of the photos by flush, making the wall flush and putting the doors to the face of those walls so you don't have a little alley that we had before. This is just a schematic elevation showing our new ramp curving up and our new trees and some of the plantings that were just schematically showing the plantings that we're going to use to kind of visually screen that wall that we're going to have, this tall wall that's part of the ramp. And just some basic materials, including brick pavers, new steel table and seats to go on the reconstructed terrace, as well as an umbrella to go on the tables, new concrete stairs and handrails, new trash receptacles, new light poles. And here's just an array of different plantings that we're going to include. And that's it. Just to summarize, we're just really trying to improve the building. The structural and programmatic improvements to the building, we hope will make it easier for users to use the rec center and have a pleasant experience as a result of these changes. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that presentation. As we indicated at the beginning of the meeting, we'll first go to committee members with questions, and then we'll go to those who have joined the meeting. But first, I want to go to, I see Robin, and then Catherine, and then Kay. So we'll go in that order. Robin?
Yeah, hi. Hi, thanks for that presentation. Can you go back to the beginning for a second? I know that there was you had a ground. Okay, yes, no, not that far beginning. Okay, the playground and the basketball courts, right? This stuff is being worked on, correct? Already. Can you go inside the building? Okay, cool. So yes, here you're removing the stage and you're putting in, this is a cardio, so you're having a cardio room. Right now, there's only going to be one sort of all-purpose room. Is that what I'm seeing? The community dance studio. So you're having cardio in the basement, and this proposed community room is becoming another cardio room?
No, thanks for pointing that out. I'm sorry I wasn't clear about that. We are removing the existing stage there and bringing up all the existing cardio equipment that's in the basement now. So we're bringing the cardio bikes and ellipticals and treadmills up to the first floor so that we can open up number 8 there, open up that large space to be sort of youth programming space. And some of the equipment that's in that youth programming space includes some of the weights and strengthening equipment. We're moving all of that stuff into room 12 there, item 12 there, so we can open up the youth programming space and the public programming space and make this a large kind of multi-purpose space.
Right, and then can you go back to this is in the basement. This is
first floor right now.
Right. Okay. So what I'm seeing though is you're taking the room, the weights that were in that you're not going to call the youth programming room in that corner, open that up for youth programming. 8 and 7 used to be weights. The weights are coming upstairs, but number 12 is also going to be a weight room. Is that right?
Well, number 12 will only be the weight room. On the first floor, again, it's just going to be cardio equipment. Okay. We're not bringing the weights. I think it'll be too heavy to put a load on the first floor. So we're just bringing up the cardio equipment to the first floor, but we're leaving sort of the weights and strength equipment that's there now in the basement. We're just moving it all into 12.
There a
that
reason
big-
why you're putting youth programming in the basement or space in the basement that's flexible space, and rather than having all the cardio and gym equipment on one floor and having all the community spaces on the top floor? I don't understand that switch. Why are you switching that?
We looked at it, and you know, it was a request of when we were looking at the space from the rec center staff. They thought combining all of the cardio equipment in one space and bringing it to the first floor might be a nice experience. That way, in the basement, some of those maybe larger spaces could be opened up for youth programming. Not sure if that quite answers your question, but when we were looking at it, that's what we kind of.
Yeah, I'm wondering if any of that change is come about by asking community members where they prefer and where they are. I don't know if that happened with this. I'm sorry if it did, so you'll have to forgive me if it did happen. Maybe Trevor, it happened, because as a person who works with like the flexible spaces, it just seems a little strange that you might have people working out and the same floor as kids doing programming or public programs, and that's a really small room to gather the public in, and we don't really have a gather. It doesn't look like looks like we've lost space for the public just to gather for other kinds of programs that aren't just fitness. Can you go back upstairs again?
Sure. I mean, we would still have the community room dance studio, though it is, you know, we're calling it a dance studio with a sprung floor. Actually, we are including a sprung floor. It could be used as, you know, a community room also. But you are right. We are taking some of the open space that we had in the community room previously and using it for, you know, exercise equipment. One thing I like to point out is that. Oh, sorry.
If I could cut in for a moment. Trevor, if you don't mind, I'd like to have our Chief of Recreation, Ken Conyers, if you could upgrade him to a panelist status. He would, with no offense to Abacoa, Ken, I think, is maybe better situated to explain the rationale for making this change.
Okay.
I'm looking for him now.
Yeah, I don't see.
I don't want to monopolize the conversation, but it just seems to me like use of space and.
Yeah, no, let me get him promoted and see if he can answer that.
Robin, it's a good question. We should be able to answer it.
Yeah, I mean, I you know, keep all the sweaty people on one floor and all the public spaces and public programming on another floor. That's
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. Okay, so I'm Ken Conyers. I'm the Chief of Recreation for Manhattan. I can answer some of those questions. Some of this did come from rec center members' feedback. So doing what we're doing here is going to allow us to add additional pieces of equipment that's been long asked for. Because downstairs we can only fit a certain amount of strength and cardio into one room. And we feel like it would be a much better use of space to bring the cardio upstairs to help with some of the accessibility and ADA. We're actually, although we are removing one of the multi-purpose spaces upstairs and repurposing it to fitness, we are opening that entire downstairs area for additional programming as a multi-purpose space. So you're not losing any multi-purpose spaces. It's just being repurposed into the building. And the other, I just want to one last thing about the upstairs is that the what's labeled as a dance studio is very much a multi-purpose space. Fitness classes, dance, youth, adults, seniors, yoga, etc. Will be in that type of space as well.
That's great, thank you. I would like, so the first floor, we've got windows, right? In the basement, there are no windows, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
So in my view, and this is my opinion and others can chime in, I would reverse what you've done. I would, if you could go to the basement, I would not put kids in the basement without any windows. I would give these kids a chance to have some light coming into it. They're going to be, if this is going to be the youth programming space, although I'm sure both spaces could be used for both. You can just.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I would just, that's my thing. And I would put the dance studio where you have that fitness space and put the fitness stuff back in those other spaces. I just would suggest not focusing on putting kids in a dark, dank basement when they come to a rec center. I think it's better that they have light and air and some access to the outdoors. even if
But
they're-
just one comment on that is, don't get stuck on the word youth in that area. That's definitely not a youth-driven area only. And it's gonna be new improved spaces through this project. So they're not gonna be in a dark, dingy space. It's gonna be new and improved spaces. So,
Let me move on, but I also want to highlight, and Ken, you mentioned this, and Steve and the designer mentioned, that this is coming from the input of the people who use it and from the staff who work there, correct?
that's correct.
All right, thanks. We'll go to Catherine, Kay, and then Val.
Yeah, I just had some questions about timelines. How long do you think this will take? I see that some of it is already started. Will the facility be closed down or just parts of it? Will the pool, for instance, the indoor pool be open the entire time? And then as far as trees and planting, I see you're adding a few trees and the plantings. Are you taking any trees out? And again, how long will that take?
Well,
Yeah.
there is no work that's already underway.
Okay, just
the-
looking at the,
We're in the design phase of the project. So the actual work is, probably about a year away. We still have to go through the approval process and complete the contract documents, put it out for bid.
just looking at some of the notes on the thing, so, but go ahead. So you're thinking about a year, you expect it to be a year before you start?
Yes,
And about how long will-
I'm sorry, most likely more than a year. We're probably about 15 months away from starting construction.
okay, and what will be closed down during the construction? What will be opened?
Ken, can you take that one?
I don't think we actually laid that out. It's, in all of our capital projects, especially in rec centers, we always look to phase items when possible. So as we get a little bit closer to the final design, part of that's going to be a phasing plan. And I'm sure Bokar can maybe add a little bit to that, but it might be too early to know those exact details.
Okay, because I would hope you'd try and phase it in such a way that the pool can be open during the summer, the outdoor.
The pool should not be affected.
Okay,
I can't imagine that we would shut down the pool.
all right, and same way with the indoor pool, correct?
No, indoor pool. We don't, do we have it in? We don't have it.
No indoor pool at this site, just two.
What's
two
one in the
outdoor.
back? Okay,
And that's not part of the plan.
okay, so. And
Thank
and
you.
you're just adding trees and greenery, correct?
We are removing, oh, shoot. We have to remove, but there's one tree that's in poor health that needs to be removed no matter what. It will be replaced. And there are two other trees that need to be removed to provide for ADA accessibility, and they will also be replaced. And it would not be a one-for-one replacement. We still have to go through our normal process to compute how many additional trees would be necessary to replace the ones being removed.
So it could be a 2 or 3 for 1.
Or much more.
Okay, that'll work. All
Am I
right, nothing for a year and a half. give or
Am I
take.
talking to Catherine Freed?
Of course you are.
Oh, my God.
I
How
said
are
it to you the last time. You didn't recognize me.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Hi, Steve.
Oh, God, how are you? Good.
Still kicking.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, thank you, folks. We're going to move on to Kay, Val. Kay, you want to start?
Yeah, I think I'm going to start a rumor that there's an indoor pool here, though. Thank you, Abacor. That was really great. And Ken, this looks really great to me. I'm just lately just always really interested in where there are plantings. Is there a Bruckner box or other water source?
Jamil, do you know the answer to this one? That's a highfalutin question. Is,
Hi,
Bill?
I'm on.
I'm a gardener.
Yeah, okay, we don't have bucket boxes in Hanford.
So is there a water source, to water the
There's a
plants,
water
just
source
because
that we
we've been
can
having,
use off of both sides. In the
You
past,
what?
we just ran water. I'm sorry, Kay, you could go, I'm sorry.
no, I just couldn't hear you. Go ahead.
No, in the past, we run it off the filter house and we're able to water, we have enough hosing to water the plants on the side of the building. On the Stanton side, Hort area, and also the house and Hort area side, both sides.
Okay, thanks. Good.
Thank you. Val?
Yeah, my question is, you said there's a vertical lift, I guess, the basement to the first floor. Does this make it accessible?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's
All right.
that's the exact purpose of putting it in there.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. And in terms of accessibility, the pool itself outdoors, does it have one of those chairs that makes it accessible so that people can sit in the chair and then be all I can think of is a Hoyer lift, but it's kind of like a chair that then can be
Yes. Yeah,
oh, okay. So
I
they
believe
have
I believe the answer is yes, but Jamil, can you confirm that?
Yes, the pool has a hydraulic lift.
Oh, okay.
Jason, the lifeguard, yeah, it does have that.
Okay. All right.
Jamil happens to also be, he does double duty during the summer. He's also our pool coordinator for the entire borough.
Okay. And so other than it seems like outside needed ADA compliant accessibility, and inside from the first floor to the basement needed accessibility. And so everything else is accessible to all types of people?
Well, I don't know. I mean, what we are doing with the as a result of the project is we are making we're enabling people to enter the building and navigate within the building, and so we're making all of that accessible. As it turns out, I believe you may remember that we have a companion project in this park where we're going to be renovating the playground on the north side. And in the process of doing that project, we are also providing accessibility to people entering from Pitt Street into the playground.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that everything is accessible, that if you're going to renovate.
Yes.
I'm one that believes you want to make things accessible for people and not, at the last minute find that something wasn't, so that everything is accessible so that all kinds of people are taken. And I think I heard that you did say that you got staff and community input for everything that you're doing. Okay, thank you. That's it for me.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Val. Just keep in mind for the committee that they are seeking a resolution. I will go over some of the draft items which were mostly taken from the presentation, with the goal of this to make it to fix the roof and to make it ADA accessible, as Val has mentioned. But I do see some questions from other attendees, so I'm going to take two. And if anyone has a question, I ask you to raise your hand now. And to be brief, we will not put up the clock. But however, if someone does seem to want to talk a little longer, we're going to have to put up the clock. So I will ask you to respect your neighbors. But we'll start with Elizabeth, and then we will go to Paula and Hannah. So Elizabeth.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. I'm sorry, I just reloaded Zoom, so I don't know where my picture is. But anyway, I heard about this meeting from my swimming buddies, and I have just heard that the pool will not be at all affected, but there's really a high level of concern that the pool is going to be affected. I was wondering if this would be the place to find out if there are any plans to alter the pool or to close it in the future. And I want to ask kind of a double question, because I've been swimming at the pool at least since the early 80s. And when it reopened in 92, I've been swimming there as part of the adult lap swim. So I'm really, really familiar with the area. And there had been talk about making it kind of a convertible or hybrid space that would have use in the winter with either a removable roof or making it somehow adaptable to be to year-round use. And I was wondering if anybody who's present and in the know can tell me if there's any danger to the pool in the coming years, and two, if there's any plans to make it a year-round space for swimming.
Right, I'll start, Steve, before you, I just want to start because I see others have raised their hand that tonight we are only discussing the rehab of the recreation center, but I'll let Parks briefly answer that because I know there's been quite a few rumors about many of the items on our agenda, and I want to make sure we stay on point. But I'll let Steve just briefly go over that since we're only here to talk about the recreation center.
Right, well, this project does not involve the pool in any respect. So we're not changing we're not reconfiguring or changing the dimensions of the pool. We're not touching the pool. And we're not converting it to a year-round use. I think that may have been under consideration at some point, but that would be an extremely expensive process. But it's I will confirm and get back to the committee by next month. But I'm pretty sure that our plan is to keep the pool open while this project is underway.
Steve, you want to introduce yourself because I think we all know you, but some folks don't know who you are.
No. I'm sure plenty of people don't know me. My name is Steve Simon. I'm the Manhattan Chief of Staff at the Parks Department.
Thank you. We're going to go to Paula next. Oops, Paula, I saw, okay.
Okay, may I be heard?
Yes.
Okay. I guess my picture's just going to stay up. Hi, I'm Paula. I'm a long-term swimmer, and also in the design community. So thank you very much for the presentation and all of your efforts. Most of my questions have been answered. And I have one question concerning the women's changing room, which is part of the pool. There is one incredibly small bench that is maybe 4 feet long. I would like recommendation is that be addressed. There are mothers with several young children and elderly, and it is just non-functional. When one lays down one bag, it's gone. So maybe an L-shaped situation or a double bench, some type of resolution so that it can function and accommodate the traffic.
Okay, Abacor, let's try to do that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And
Abacor, can you answer that?
Oh, okay, yeah, I just wanted to clarify, you're saying one bench inside the women's changing room building.
Yeah.
I would just say to address the functionality of the seating and the usage there's many mothers with a lot of children, just need another plane of functionality.
Okay. Okay, Abacor,
Thank you very much.
Abacor, can we do that?
Sure.
Okay, very good. And Trevor, maybe you want to mention that in your resolution as well.
Yeah, I'm adding additional. She did mention either a double bench or L shape. I mean, I think whatever maximum seat you can fit in that space would work, but I think that Abacor has that ability to design something. But she raised a good point. We'll put in the resolution to add more seating. Thank you, Paula, for that suggestion.
Thank you very much.
And for staying on point. I appreciate that. I'm going to go to Bill.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, yeah, I've been swimming at the pool for 45 years and using the rec center. I just want to point out that the library, which is a block away, has been closed for almost 2 years. And this is a place where kids go a lot. So we've lost that resource. If that's closed more, then I think it's going to be a big problem to help the kids that often come after school that could be going to the rec center. You're losing 2 resources at once. That library's got to open again. Otherwise, there's no place for young kids to go after school. It's a big problem.
Do you have an update on the library, Steve?
No, I'm not. No, I only deal with parks. But
okay.
Again, I would hope that by the time we're ready to do this project, the library will have reopened.
Well, I certainly hope so. It's been closed for 2 years and I'm not a parent, but I saw, 20, 30, 40, 50 kids a day after school going there and the librarians are taking care of them. They also go to the rec center and they play foosball and pool and ping pong. And
Right.
these kids need a place to go. If they're not both open, it's going to be a problem.
Bill,
Well,
what I can suggest is that I know we saw a presentation on that library at least 2 years ago, probably more. And I know it's been in construction. Is that if you email the office next week, because I would imagine the office needs some time to contact and get an update on that library progress.
Great. Thank you so much. I want to thank you all. I love the rec center. I love the pool. It's all been great. I've been to 45 years there and hope to continue another 20.
Go
Thank
for
you.
45.
Yeah, right.
All right, Alexis.
Could we have better access to the bathrooms from the pool? Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
The bathroom access, it's really poor. You have to travel far to get to one, to the bathroom
Yeah,
from the pool.
Well, I don't think we're going to be making the bathrooms, bringing them any closer to the pool, but I think we are making,
Maybe you could make an entrance on the left side there, on that upper side. So we could just go right from the pool to the bathroom.
Okay.
As opposed to going around.
Okay, all right. Abacoa, can we look at doing that?
It makes kids not want to go to the
Okay.
bathroom. It's too far.
Okay, I
And
hear
you know what happens otherwise.
I don't want to think about it.
Okay.
Abacoa, can we look into doing that?
Just make the entrance on the other side. So you don't have to walk
We did
around.
look at the access because we did actually identify that there is a long route. Basically, you have to go around the site because the bathrooms are on the opposite side of the way the pool is accessed now.
Yes.
So we definitely identified that as an issue. Unfortunately, we're not moving the bathrooms, and it would be difficult to just put an opening, in the wall. You'd still have to kind of go through the building to get to the bathrooms.
Just work your design, whatever, you guys are designers. You can figure that out.
All right,
But,
listen.
and thank you for keeping the pool open. It is a gem. It is like the most important, piece of real estate in our neighborhood. So thank you for not touching it.
All right, Abacoa, let's go back and study that and see if we can make that happen.
I'm going to take that as a check from Epicor so we can move on. We have 2 more and then we're going to, or 3 more, and then we're going to go on to the next agenda item. So Hannah?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, I have a quick question. When was the last time these spaces in the rec center were under renovation?
1992.
Okay, thank you, that's all.
Thank you, Hannah. I'm looking for another Hannah Smith so I can get a question like that. But Khadija, I hope I said your name right. Khadija?
Yes. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you for holding this meeting. I am Lower Side Residential, but I saw the design, it looks great, but I'm just concerned because I just heard that there was people who are staff members and also public, but I'm just wondering, does any of those youth were involved in design, making this design, and it was just present on the screen?
Ken?
Sorry.
Hi.
Was the question
if there was youth involved.
Ken, we're having a little difficulty hearing you.
The question was if there's youth involved in this.
Yes, the question was were there youth involved in the design?
Is that better or not?
Yeah, that's better.
Specifically, I can't confirm nor deny if the youth were involved, but a lot of what's in that design is from years of feedback. And we've had very consistent staff there. We've also, when we were doing the design, brought in the past managers to have a say in the design and give some feedback. So this is years of members' concerns and feedback. So I can't confirm or deny youth, but definitely the people that are associated with the youth, the parents and others have had feedback here. And our programming specialists who work with the youth have had feedback.
Right, thank you. Committee members, we do have a draft resolution, and as I mentioned, it is drawn particularly from the design that we just now viewed. And I've added a couple things based on what we've heard, and Steve is able to wave the magic wand for additional seating or better seating in the changing rooms, and to explore to see if we can add an additional entrance into the building to the bathroom so that people don't have to go all the way around. And I know that's going to be a challenge and it's probably been explored, but to look at it again, so to eliminate the problem of kids not wanting to use the bathroom and staying in the pool. But Ryan, are you able to share your screen?
I think the presenter has.
Let me stop sharing. Yeah.
Okay.
Am I a co-host?
Thank you, Juan.
Oh, sorry. Zoom is not set up on my, I didn't realize we would do this and.
That's fine. It's fine. Susan, if you cannot, if you give me a couple minutes, I can try and share mine.
Sure. Yeah, I think I had said it so all panelists could share.
No, I mean, just I need to go into my computer to pull up the resolution. So unless you have it right now, it's going to take me a couple minutes to pull this up.
Okay, I don't either.
Okay, just give me a second.
Did I lose the sound or it's just that no one's talking?
No, it's no one's talking, and which is unusual for this meeting, but. So just give me a second. Where's the share screen function? Oh, here it is at the bottom.
Yeah, it's different for webinar, which is why I was having.
Right.
I wonder if I could put it in the chat.
No, I have it.
Okay.
Is everyone seeing it now? I know it might be small.
Yes, it's good.
Yes.
All right. So Ryan, how much is this? This is a page and a half. If you want to read this for us.
Sure. Whereas the Hamilton Fish Recreation Center will be reconstructed, and whereas the reconstruction has the following goals: provide ADA access routes to and within main building and two wing buildings, East Houston Street and Stanton Street House, reconfiguration of the main building program spaces, reconstruct the terrace to be watertight, replace portions of roofs at main building and two wing buildings, repair and replace in-kind deteriorating portions of exterior components and interior finishes at main building and wing buildings, refurbish existing window frames at main building and two wing buildings. And whereas there is concurrent work occurring with this Hamilton Fish Playground reconstruction, and whereas the Hamilton Fish Recreation Center sits in a future 0.2% annual chance floodplain 500 year, and whereas the current ADA access to the main building is not code compliant, and there is currently no ADA access to the wing buildings, and whereas the reconstruction includes new roof membranes and insulation on all three buildings, and whereas the reconstruction includes the following elements in the site plan: a reconstructed terrace, a new 5% slope ADA compliant path to the first floor of main building, a new planting area and new trees, reconstructed stairs, ramp, and landings on the north side of the main building, new and reconstructed ramps and landings on the south side of the main building, reconstructed ADA compliant entrance at East Houston Street House, reconstructed ADA compliant entrance at Stanton Street House, DOT pedestrian light poles. And whereas the reconstruction includes the following elements in the floor plan of the main building: a reconstructed terrace, ramps, and stairs with brick pavers sloped per ADA and a modified FAI and exhaust, an ADA lift, a cardio room, dance studio, manager's office, and youth programming space, a toilet at the first floor, space for public programs, modified walls and doors, egress doors, boiler room, fitness room, and staff areas. So therefore it be resolved that CB3 supports / is against the proposed Hamilton Fish Recreation Center reconstruction.
Thank you, Ryan, for reading that. I see a question. I see three questions. Let's go to Val first.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Did you say something about the fact that there was staff and community input?
We can add that. Thank you. And keep in mind, I'm going to add it here, and we'll clean up the language.
Okay, yeah, just that there was community outreach that included staff and what did they say? Staff
members.
Staff, yeah.
I'll say staff, community members.
Yeah, staff and community input.
Right. We'll add that as a whereas. Susan.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch this before, but the bullet where it says modified FAI, I don't know what that means. We should put in that. We should say whatever that means.
Okay, so we'll add some language to define that.
Okay.
Catherine.
Yeah, can we just put in something that every effort will be made to preserve the, for the preservation of the landmark rec center, because it is a national landmark, so.
Understand this. You should, I mean, that's fine, because we certainly intend to respect the building. We love that building, but this plan will be reviewed by the Landmarks Preservation Commission for that reason. So it's unlikely that anything will happen that will detract from the appearance of the building.
Yeah, I assume, but I figured it couldn't hurt to put it in there.
No.
Catherine, what was your language again? I'm going to put something in
every effort will be made to continue the preservation of the landmark rec center. Landmark aspects of the rec center.
Right, thank you.
Yep.
Robin?
The resolution is very, general and broad. Of course, I support that, the reconstruction. But is this the design that are we also agreeing on this design, or is this design going to be made changes to?
This is what we're here to discuss tonight.
So there's nothing about there's nothing that says where these new rooms are going to be in this resolution. So cardio room, dance room doesn't. Maybe I think we should add to it what rooms, what floors those are on. so that people were pretty clear about the reconstruction. So,
You're saying in the whereas to identify where the,
yeah,
where
just,
the,
right, because Trevor just talks about elements. It's gonna be
okay.
elements.
All right, can you, and we're not gonna do it tonight, but can you put draft a whereas for me and just send it to me so I can add it?
Sure.
All right, and that will take care of that. There's two things I'm going to add to this, and that will be that to look at adding, we're going to request additional seating. I'm going to say both changing stations. I assume that the situation is the same in the men's, and to look at adding a more accessible entrance to the bathrooms from the pool.
My understanding is there is no men's changing room.
Jamil. Jamil, is there a men's changing room?
Steve, no. There's basically what we have is we have exterior changing areas along the housing side of the park that people change. We have showers right there. Everything's basically external from the building except for the bathrooms,
Right.
for the pool.
But I mean, there is people are not changing they're not changing completely out in the open. They're
No, it's they have a screen blocking you so you can change. A lot of people, what they do, they utilize the bathroom, they go inside the building, use the bathroom to change, and then come back outside, lock up their belongings, and then proceed to the pool.
So is there any seating where the men change? Is there a bench?
No, I don't think so.
It's pretty much an outdoor facility. I would offer to have the showers fixed. They have been broken for 15 years. The outdoor showers. Thank you.
All right, I'll keep it as what Paula had mentioned for, well, I can say both changing areas. We're really talking about benches, so I don't think it's that big a lift. David.
Yeah, Trevor, I thought there were some structural changes we suggesting tonight. How will they be included that we would not be approved or just assume?
Structural changes?
There was the children's access area or something, or will they be doing their programming or whatever? And was there something else that we suggested that would be changed? And the viability of a shorter path for the bathrooms?
The viability of a shorter path to bathrooms, I am adding. I didn't want to necessarily.
I'm saying it could make a significant change in the structure. Do you want to?
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying if they add a door, that could change the structure itself. But I've softened the language a bit to say that we'd like for them to explore the possibility of adding an entrance to make it easier to go to the bathroom.
I'm just saying what's going to make happen. Maybe we should just that basically we give them a general approval and then come back with these minor changes we ask for next month and get it through. I don't know.
Steve, let me ask you a question, and I guess the designer can answer this. We're asking you to look at creating another entrance, and that could be structural or could not be structural. Do you think that would be significant to say, okay, we need to come back and talk about this design again?
Well, we can report back to you as to whether or not we found a way to do it.
Okay.
I would prefer not to hold up our project.
Okay, understood. David raised a good point.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Okay, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but there is a door to the bathroom. Nothing would need to be added from the pool because it's a matter of just opening the gate and there is a direct path right into the bathroom. Sometimes it's open for events, but usually it's locked. So I think it'd be more of a matter of staffing rather than actually cutting a new entrance, because the southwestern door is open to the gate on the training pool. The public can go directly from the pools into the bathroom.
All right, Jamel, did you want to address that?
Rather than going around the ramp. And it's accessible. I believe it's all at ground level there. It's just a matter of, I think
Yeah,
for
let me-
security,
yeah.
that door is locked.
Yeah, let me just give Parks a chance to address that entrance.
I tell you, Ken, are you familiar with that? Ken?
Hello. Steve?
No, I'm not.
Jamel might be.
The fence she's referring to, there is a series of fences along that side that connect to the bathroom. But for us, it causes more of a problem because we have to screen people and they have to take a shower, they have to have the right belongings. But it's something that we could possibly look at, is using that as a bathroom exit. People could go in and go out. Again, like she said, it's probably, we would have to add on more staffing to sit there with a PEP officer just to screen people coming in.
Okay, good to know. All right, thank you. So committee members, with those additions, we're going to vote on this resolution. I'm going to take Adam's suggestion of just putting language in there to say, look at it. And if Steve wants to come back or tell us that they were able to do it or not, he can just verbally tell us or email so we don't have to delay this process. And I'm going to ask for Ryan to do a roll call vote on this resolution.
Sorry, you caught me having dinner.
It's okay. I think we're all trying to eat something.
Yeah.
At this point.
Here we go. Trevor Holland.
Yes, I'm sorry. Let's back up a little bit. I skipped a couple of steps. We need someone to motion to approve this because we're going to go into
Motion
approval
to
stage.
approve.
Someone
Seconded.
second? All right. Thank you.
Seconded.
Brian, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. Trevor Holland,
Yes.
Kay Webster,
Yes.
Ryan Gillum, yes. David Adams,
Yes.
Yaron Altman,
President not voting, I work for DOT.
Carlin Chan,
Yes.
Catherine Freed,
Yes.
Valentina Jones,
Yes.
Robin Chattel,
Yes.
Daniel Tainell, absent. Josephine Velez,
Yes.
Troy Velez. Troy Velez,
Yes.
that's it.
All right. Thank you. That resolution passes. We will modify some of that language, but we're going to move to the next item. And if those, let me stop sharing my screen. Move to the next item, which is the proposed plan for the renovation of the multipurpose court in the northwest corner of Tompkins Square Park. I don't know who's presenting on that.
Hello, Max Goodstein, New York City Parks.
Thank you, Max. You want to introduce yourself and we can begin.
Excellent. Hello, my name is Max Goodstein. I'm a landscape architect with the New York City Parks Department, and I'll be presenting to you the reconstruction of Tompkins Square Park's MPPA. This is a relatively quick presentation, so I'll have lots of time for comments at the end. The general goals: provide safe and accessible payment services, enhance the active recreation of the site. Of course, this is in Tompkins Square Park in the northwest corner near Avenue A and 10th Street. It's not in a flood zone, and it's multi-use, not landmark.
Max, can you just slow down just a slight bit because we are taking notes and I want to be able to make sure we get them.
Sure, absolutely. Do you need me to go back at all?
No, I've
Okay.
gotten most.
Excellent. So it's not landmarked. And this is an existing aerial of the site. So you can see that there's two dugouts in the northwest corner near Avenue A and East 10th Street. There's a drinking fountain near one of those dugouts. On the eastern side, there's two backstops, and there's two tree pits on the southern side. And there's more benches on Avenue A. This MPPA has a lot of asphalt structural damage. What do we mean by saying that? So asphalt structural damage is the full profile of the asphalt needs to be replaced and repaired. And the only way to do that is to take all the asphalt away down to the sub base and put new asphalt down. The backstops on site will be replaced as well. Again, all backstops being replaced. You can see actually the tree pit in picture number 3. We're actually enlarging that. It's a large tree, and I'm gonna have that so it's more room to grow. The dugouts for this site will be removed. We're no longer permitting softball, so there's really no need to keep them there anymore. And in light of that, we actually have more room to put new benches and new concrete pads. There is damaged asphalt throughout the entire site. There's vegetation on the cracks, and this site is very popular with skateboarders, as I'm sure you guys know. All the benches on the site are relatively old style, and we will be replacing those with the new style 1939 World's Fair bench, like you see in other parts of Tompkins Square. The drinking fountain will be replaced with a Type E high-low fountain. The current drinking fountain is one level. The Type E high-lows have multiple levels, so kids could use the bottom level and adults could use the top level. Again, that existing aerial showing those dugouts, which we're removing, the drinking fountain on top, the tree pits on the bottom, and the benches throughout the site with the backstops on the east side. And the reconstructed layout. So most of the same, except for the dugouts are removed. And in that place, we're putting new benches around basically every side of the site, except for the eastern side, where there's gonna be basketball backstops. And so the two that existed right now, we're gonna put 3 of them with full half courts. The benches will be a lot more. We expanded those tree pits. And in the center of this MPPA, we're actually going to color seal a track. And this is like a walking loop that people can walk around. It's 2 lanes. And the center of that walking loop, we're going to have a multi-purpose play area with multiple games to be played there. And we're going to color, we're also going to seal it for kickball, which is pretty popular at the site. The materials being used, full depth asphalt, fence mounted backstops, World's Fair benches, color sealing for the asphalt, and the Type E fountain. And again, here's that reconstructed layout, and I want to happy to hear your comments.
Right. Thank you, Max. I think that was done in record time. I'm going to first go to committee members, but before we go to committee members, I'm going to ask for timing of this project.
Sure. So this project is done with design, well, for the comments at least, and it's going to procurement. So it's in procurement right now. We're hoping to have this constructed and done, ready to play on by next fall. The construction should take approximately 3 months. On contractors, pretty fast typically, but they still have to rip up all the asphalt, put new asphalt down. And then there's a period of the asphalt curing that actually has to take place. So you're going to see the asphalt done, but we have to let it cure so we can put the asphalt color seal on top. And it's about 30 days. So about 3 months all said and done, and it should be done by next fall.
So 3 months, so the start, from start to finish, 3 months.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Committee members. Robin.
Hi, this would be great once it's done. So that means you're gonna start this summer then, right? But the summer months are gonna be taken over with construction next 2023.
The start date hasn't been finalized yet. All we know at this point is it's going to take 3 months, and we should definitely be done by next fall. So it could happen sooner, could happen, later in the summer.
I see, you don't know when the start date is, okay. But okay, within that time frame. Thank you.
We'll still discuss with our contractor that, because it all depends on their schedule as well.
Got it, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
And thank you, Robin. Any other comments from the committee members? Okay, we're going to go to the attendee list, and I see 2. I see Paula and Wendy. So Paula.
Hi, I'm Paula. I live on Avenue A since embarrassingly like 1984. Thank you very much for your presentation. I have 2 questions. One, there's 3 basketball situations. Is there enough room actually between the track and I don't see any dimensions, between the track and the basketball playing area, the 3 areas?
Yes, so we do have the 3-point line lined on there. So we were talking with the kids on site, and we actually went out there multiple times. We talked to multiple people that actually played the basketball at this site and the other side of Tompkins Square. And they like to shoot from the 3-point line or closer to the actual backstop. I think to just practice their shots. So of course, this won't be used for games. It's more just for practice shooting hoops. So there should be enough in there.
I bet I would be willing to bet quite a large sum that they're going to do some type of a game there. And I see a conflict between the track and the 3 areas of shooting.
Gotcha. So the beauties of our MPPA sites, they are multi-purpose sites. So they're used for multiple things. They don't necessarily have the same use at the same exact time. So they could be used at different times. And we try to design our sites with the most flexibility in mind. So if we were to do it that, we would actually size the track a little bit smaller. And that might be a little too small. So we tried to size the track like 1/10 of a mile, just so it's comfortable to actually walk around and get a good view when you walk around.
Thank you, Max, and thank you, Paula.
I vote no.
Okay, thank you, Paula, but there's a couple of things. We're not going to vote on this, and the committee
I'm aware.
members are allowed to
I'm
vote.
also very aware I got shut down. So thank you very much.
Okay. Trying to keep the meeting efficient. Wendy,
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
we can hear you, Wendy.
Good. So this corner, since time immemorial, has been a skateboarders corner. I don't see any facilities, any recognition, anything for skaters. And I'm really concerned that the young people in this neighborhood are being pushed out of this famous, much loved, much used skating space. You even opened it with pictures of skaters. What are you going to do about this?
Yeah, so this site for skateboarders, I talk with these people a lot too. I actually went to the site when I was younger as well. And what makes the site so special, it's a flat ground site. So there's no handrails, there's no ramps, and it's not explicitly for skateboarding, which makes it approachable for all ages and all beginner levels of skateboarding. And they appreciate the fact that it's an open asphalt area. So we talk with them and they actually like to bring their own stuff, but they actually have their own stuff in the site. So they do bring their own equipment and own ramps and everything. So we try to keep it as flexible as possible, just the same flat ground space.
And are you providing any space for them to store their ramps? That's no easy job to move them. You know,
So
you had
that-
20,000 people sign a petition to keep
Mhm.
this a skating place in 2019. I would think that that's a strong vote to make sure skaters have priority there.
We're not explicitly providing a space for people to store their skateboarding ramps, just because that's private property. So the city doesn't own those ramps. So we don't provide a space for to store that.
But the people leave stuff there.
Mhm.
And so I'd encourage you to take the young people who use this space, who don't have a seat at the table, who don't come to community board meetings very much. They did show up in 2019 to CB3 because they wanted to preserve some part of the park for their use that's been there for so long. So I'm going to stop now, but just want you to make, nothing, not one word. I see kickball, basketball, walking, everything but anything for skaters.
Well, Wendy, if I could just interject, for the reason that you that you just explicitly mentioned about how the skateboarders made their views known a few years back. Max and I went there and we personally spoke to a group of them, and they were very much in support of what we intended to do. They want to have an improved surface, and what we're doing here is by no means is going to displace them. We're reconciled to the fact that they're remaining there, and they appreciate what we're doing. And the only thing they really wanted from us, well, they wanted a couple of things. They wanted a drinking fountain, and they wanted a slightly different variation on the seating, layout of the benches. So we're going to accommodate them, and they were pretty thrilled with the fact, with what we're planning to do, and with the fact that we went out there and spoke to them.
Well, I'm
Thank
glad
you.
you talked to some of the people, and I wish that more people had a chance to weigh in on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Jake Wolf.
Yeah, hi Trevor. I live around the corner here, and I'll just echo what Wendy said about the skateboarders. I just want to understand that there are lots of obstacles that are left on the site, and that there's a plan going forward to, if they're going to continue to allow them to leave it on site, or if they're going to be rules, because this is used by primarily teenagers in the area. I also want to say I'm really happy about the basketball hoops renovation. I use that with my son all the time, and they're just in terrible condition. The last thing is there's that exit on the there's that gate on the east side, at the southeast side there. It's always locked. I just was wondering, is that going to continue to be the practice, or is there some idea to have it access the garden to the east there?
I don't know that we gave that any thought, and there's nothing in this particular design that prevents us from opening it. Jamil, do you have any thoughts on this?
Steve, the district will look at it and see what possibly we can accommodate it. I'll take a look at it first thing tomorrow morning.
Maybe there's some reason why we keep it locked. I don't know what that could be.
Yeah, I mean, the garden used to have, I mean, they probably wanted to keep some separation, but I think it's been pretty good recently. So maybe it was a security thing, but you let me know. Thanks.
All right.
No problem.
Thank you. And I can't remember if Paula asked her question or not. I see her hand.
I think she did.
Okay. All right, thank you, and we hope to see this done. I'm just going to say it's nice to see even small projects like this where you resurface the pavement, because I mean, ultimately, yes, there are a lot of people who use this, but this is also, you know, in a lower income neighborhood, and those backstops and that surface is pretty bad. So I'm glad to see some work being done here. So thank you for this. I hope it gets done soon.
Thank you.
Steve, the item that we had for Two Bridges funding was at the end. Since you're here, I'm just going to push that next, since I think that will sort of wrap up the parks items for your end.
All right, I'll do my best to try to answer those questions. I think I dropped the ball and didn't confirm that the head of our planning division would be here with me. He was actually more involved with dealing with that question with Two Bridges.
Susan, I'm going to go to you because I think this is critical, especially since there are some things happening. Can we make that an item for next month?
We can, but wouldn't you rather get the information before then?
Yeah, what do you think? We think we should continue the discussion or make it an agenda item, or do both?
I would like to get it beforehand because it's going to influence our preparation for the budget priorities. But I've been trying to get it for what, 2 months now?
Yeah.
I can answer most of your questions, but if the way the agenda item reads, you specifically want to know about the how the decision was made about the use of the funding that we may get from the Two Bridges project. And I was not, if that's the point of that item, I can't tell you how those decisions were made. All I know is that after Little Flower was separately funded, the Little Flower Playground was originally going to be a recipient of that funding. When it was otherwise funded with city funds, we chose to include the Allen Pike Street malls because that has always been a high priority of ours as well as yours. And I don't know if there's a downside to that, but I can't imagine that there is.
Yeah, it's just that there's just some other things that we like to discuss, and if we need that person to be here, and it would be like the Captain Jacob Parks, which really needs some work to be done that hasn't been. We have three sites that are to be covered by the Two Bridges funding, and we have Coleman Oval, we have the Captain Jacob Joseph, and we have the Allen Pike Street malls. All three of them will be recipients of that funding. All right, Susan, can we continue this discussion? Because I think we need to have Steve mentioned the head of planning, because I don't think he's able to answer that particular portion. But as you mentioned, because we have to do some budget discussions, we need to talk about exactly the amounts and what will be done or what won't be done.
Well, we haven't. I can tell you the amounts, but we haven't. We haven't even started the design. We haven't even received this money, and so we haven't even started the design process. So it's premature to say what the work will actually be. I can't really tell you.
Well, the work was, there is a scope of work for each playground. That's within the documents. There is an actual scope for each particular playground.
Yeah, but it'll be further defined when we actually do the design work. I mean, those are parameters which we will, which we will comply with, but the actual, we will be coming back to you with the actual designs. And I'm sure the work we do on the Allen Pike Street malls is going to be comparable to the work that we've already done. We would want to continue the same look of the malls.
If I could just throw in here, when it comes to Coleman, it's going to be really important to have input because as Jamel and as Ralph know at Parks, we get complaints almost every day about Coleman and it's a disaster there. So it's going to be.
But we would follow our normal capital project design process. We would hold a community input meeting, and we would invite the public, and we would to give us the benefit of their views, and we would ask the community board to help us organize that meeting.
Trevor, I'm sorry to interrupt, but before Steve leaves, I was just hoping I could ask him a quick question.
Sure.
Steve, this is about the Stanton Building and STR Park. I know we've been writing you and I'm sure you've been overwhelmed with things, but it's been a few months that we've been trying to follow up on Commissioner Castro's agreement that Borough Happold and Marvel could get a brief look. They're doing pro bono services for the community to try and get an assessment of what's needed to bring that Stanton Building possibly back to community use, and are just looking for a quick opportunity to tour the inside, are willing to meet any conditions. I think you said 2 weeks notice at least, but it's
we have
about 8 times and hardly getting a response. So we'd love to be able to make that happen.
Okay, well, I personally need a better understanding of what the purpose is of their doing an assessment, which has already been done by the Parks Department staff itself. But we now have a new borough commissioner, and I need a chance to sit down and talk to him and explain to him what's going on.
They're doing it, I think, Steve, that, they're doing it because there isn't a lot of really current information, and we know that there's been a coalition of folks, and including this community board, been advocating for a long time that building could be stopped using for storage and start serving the community and be an activation site to bring greater safety to that park. And all we're trying to do is understand what might be involved. And we have 2 major firms that work with the city all the time, willing to do pro bono help to try and help us figure that out. There's no harm intended here. This is just to get some information. And it's a small group of folks, engineering folks who would just like to be able to visually inspect what's going on and help the community come to some understanding about what would be involved.
I was going to ask if this should be an agenda item next month. Do you want it on?
Because we'll get into a full length discussion and we're getting off the agenda, and I don't want other folks to say, okay, we can talk about this building and this issue. So we can place that as an agenda item. I think, Steve, if you want to answer or if you want to take it offline, it's up to you. But I think if we're going to discuss it, we really need to have an agenda item for it.
I've answered the question.
Okay. Kay, did you have something additional?
Just that for the purposes of the budget priorities, I think that was another motivation to get some kind of assessment that was more current, so that we all have a better idea of what the cost would be. And yes, we thought we had an understanding that people could go ahead and enter, and it just is more reassuring to the neighborhood and the people who've been advocating. But agenda item next month, if Steve could come.
Okay. And Susan, for budget purposes, does that work?
Yeah, we'll have to do that. We don't need to know the amount for to put it on the budget, but we'll certainly do that, and then we'll vote on the budget afterward, the budget priorities afterward.
Okay, thank you. And because we still have 3 more items that are going to be done by DDC. I know there's one art item, and we're actually pretty good on time. I don't know if the presenters for the art installation in Columbus Park are here. I see Shauna and Liddy.
Yes, Lily and Honglei. We don't
Is
see.
Shauna part of your team? I see Shauna.
Yes,
first is-
Shauna should be here. Seems,
Yeah, we're still waiting.
yeah, seems that she's not here yet.
Because I see her name and I
Oh,
Oh,
Is she under the panel?
oh,
tent?
yes, yes.
Hello.
she's here.
Can you hear me? Can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes, we can hear
Hi,
you.
this is Shona.
Be-
Yeah.
Before you begin, how long is this presentation?
It'll probably be 5 minutes, be pretty quick.
Okay. So we're gonna move you to in front, so we can, you don't have to wait another, for the other 3 items, but if you want to present and introduce yourself and then present what you're going to, look to
Yeah,
install.
sure. Yeah, I can go first. I have a few slides if I'm allowed to show those.
I think you're able to. I had all the panelists.
So I'll just talk and then wait until I see the ability to.
I can't find your name.
She's Shona. She's on the panelist list. She has a blue icon with MA on it.
With MA?
Yeah, it's a blue
Yeah.
icon. She still has her hand raised.
Okay, I'm going to the top. I got it now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you should.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you can start.
Oh, hi. Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. So hi, everyone. My name is Shona Mazarin-Hurst. I am the operations director at Morat. Morat produces public art projects around New York City. All of our projects address social justice topics in some way, shape, or form. And we are presenting tonight on a project at Columbus Park in Manhattan, Chinatown, Manhattan, commissioned by Morat, and we've been working with the artist collective Lily and Honglei to produce this work. So this work is, let me see, sorry, just trying to forward the slides. Can I forward the slides? Sorry. Oh, sorry about this. Okay, sorry. Okay, so this project is a banner project. So we'll be installing 8 banners on the chain link fence at Columbus Park. The banners are approximately 72 inches high by 54 inches wide. The spacing here, this isn't probably to scale, but the spacing is about 72 inches distance between each banner, and the banners are made out of vinyl. Just going to go to the next slide. And this is where the banners are going to be in Columbus Park. So they're presented on that curved kind of area. And here's an example of the banners. I'll let Lily and Honglei kind of chime in when I'm just presented doing the who, what, when, where, and how. And they can talk more about the significance of the project. But these are interactive, activated by a smartphone. You can see they have a image here in the middle, but then a little QR code down the bottom on the right there. And when the users scan that with their phones, they don't need to have an app or anything installed. It instantly comes up with an animation that is activated, and that kind of like delves into more of the detail of the images that are there. And I just have the next slide is an example. So I'm going to go to the next slide. Sorry. So that gives you an example of the interactivity of the work. So as you're kind of like holding the camera up to the banner, the image kind of like follows it's kind of like, it feels like it's transposed onto the banner. If you move your phone around, it's still kind of like the image follows it. Yeah, so I just want to see if there's anything else about the logistics, but I'll, if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer, but I also want to let Lily Honglei have a few words just to talk about this piece and what it means to them.
Hi, I'm Lily.
I'm Honglei.
Hi. Thank you, Shona, for the introduction. I think she covered really well about the different aspects of the project. I just want to emphasize this project called the Red String actually takes the inspiration from our cultural heritage as a Chinese American, and it just try to amplify the voice for Asian immigrants. And also the project, as Shona mentioned, it integrates cultural traditions with emerging technology, such as augmented reality on mobile phone. That's something the visitors in the park can enjoy this interactive technology on their phone in their personal space. You can listen. They can listen to the traditional Chinese opera soundtrack. Yeah, that's another way we want to share our cultural heritage with more New Yorkers in the park. So we still have a couple of slides we would like to share. This just give a even closer look at this project. As you can see, this each banner features a pattern of the Chinese knot, and in the center of the knot, there's an image. Actually, it's a still image from our animation. Yeah, like there's another one. So there also a brief instruction on the banner in both English and in Chinese. Just encourage audience to experience the augmented reality on their phone, on their smartphone. And also we'd like to share one of the animation the audience can actually see on their phone. It just ran about 1 minute.
Okay, yeah. Lily and I created a series of animations just inspired by popular Chinese folk tales and traditional opera performances. We transfer these ancient stories to reflect the immigrant experience and the Chinese American identity. It combines the characters in traditional Chinese opera costumes in New York City's landscape. Through the contrast between the characters and the background, the animation metaphorically depicts Asian immigrants' spiritual journeys.
Yeah, overall, the Restoring Public Art project is aimed at highlighting Chinese American cultural heritage and strengthen the cultural representation of our community. Yeah, that's just a brief presentation.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Right. Well, thank you for the presentation. It looks like a very interesting piece of artwork that will go in Columbus Park. I'm going to go to committee members first. Let's start with Robin and then we'll go to Carly.
Thanks. That was a beautiful, beautiful
Thank
work.
you.
Thank you. I just have a question. If you are planning on any public sort of opening, I don't know when you're putting this up, inviting the public to come to like sort of an opening, you know, when you launch this, and is there anything you're putting up that's going to let people know who may not know how to use their devices for this kind of work, the elderly, you know, which is a lot of elderly in that park, to
Yeah.
explain to them what they might need to do to be able to participate?
Yeah, thank you, Robin. Also, I just wanted to note that this same work or an iteration of it is also happening concurrently at Bound Playground in Flushing, Chinatown. We will be having the official opening. It's for that piece, which is opening a little bit earlier than this one. At the Bound Playground in Flushing, with a performance by the Kunku Society of New York on October 1st, and we haven't planned an official opening for this site just yet. We are kind of planning some type of activation at the site in November. That we're not sure what it is yet, but it will involve kind of like a mediated kind of like a demonstration of the technology. You know, maybe we'll set up a tent, and the artist will be there to meet and greet with park goers. But we're also open to suggestions as well, because we're a very small nonprofit, and since this with a small staff, so since this is going on at 2 parks, the Kunku Society wanted to focus on the first opening first. Yeah, I think the kind of the in-person kind of demonstrations of the technology is going to be key in kind of engaging the you know, people who don't know how to use the technology. You know, a lot of people now do know how to use QR codes, but a lot of people don't. So, you know, we are hoping to kind of be there on site as much as possible. And Lily and Honglei have also done a lot of research, like at other sites with this kind of technology, and engaging people and talking to them, kind of seeing which kind of apps to use and how they work easy, that are more easy to engage with. So I don't know if Lily and Honglei, you wanted to add anything about that.
Yeah, I actually think you covered very well. Okay, think of
Yeah, we also will have very clear just a description on the sign, just next to those banners. So just explain how to use it, which app that you can go, and the process. That should be quite easy.
Yeah, it's a very straightforward process. Actually, just now I mentioned on the banner, there's just a 1 sentence instruction that that actually already sufficient for people to understand how to use the QR code. Yeah. Also, yeah, of course, we're gonna have on-site demonstration, like Shona just mentioned.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carlin?
Yeah, hi. I just want to say I love this project. It's great. But
Thank you.
is there any kind of advertising or solicitation involved associated with this on your banners?
No, this is, no, yeah, none of our projects have, apart from advertising the artist's work, none of them advertise any kind of products or services or anything like that. Is that what you were kind of asking about?
Yes. I also like to point out, I saw one of your panels when you enlarged it. It looks like you have Korean on there, not Chinese.
Yeah, that's because we have the different banner design for two parks. Some banners we're going to install at Bone Playground in Flushing, and Flushing is an extremely diverse community, and there's also a large Korean community there. That's why some banner with Korean, and yeah, some, but the banner at Columbus Park just English and Chinese.
What is the installation period?
So it's October 15 to December 19. And the actual putting up, like the installation process of these will go up in one day.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, and thank you for that presentation. We look forward to seeing it installed.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, next up, we have 3 items that DDC are going to present. I'm going to start with the Pier 42 update from DDC, or I think that will be from DDC. But is someone here from for the Pier 42 update?
I think Rick is here.
Rick, he's over as an attendee, I believe.
Okay, let me find him.
I moved him over.
Okay, good, thank you.
I don't see him though.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
And now can you see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
Perfect, great. So yeah, we are I'm Rick Fogarty with the Pier 42 Upland Park project. As you have probably seen, there's been quite a bit of work on the pier deck, which would be the soccer fields and tennis courts. You may see that they are looking pretty close to completion. I've had a lot of phone calls from people asking when it's going to be opened. And as of right now, we're working on punch lists. We're getting inspections done on it. So I don't have an exact time, but it's going to be sooner than later. And then it will switch to Parks will be overseeing that. I've been looking at the website, and you can see that the soccer field is listed on the Parks website for possible reservations in the future. I don't think the link is working yet to reserve the soccer field, but it is listed on there. I did not see the tennis courts. I don't know if somebody from Parks could speak about that, but the tennis courts are not listed on the Parks website yet. But we should be seeing those happening pretty quickly. When I do hear a date, I will make sure and reach out to the people that have reached out to me. I have a pretty good list of people who are on the callback list for that. And Trevor, I can let you guys know when I hear a date for that. Regarding the project itself, we do have some work coming up. We will be closing access over the next 2 weekends during the evening. I don't know all the details yet because I just got the information today. And I still have some questions about the FDR Drive ramp at Montgomery Street. I need to find out what the detour is going to be on that, but I will, the minute I find out that information, I'm going to get that over to you guys and get a notice out. Like I said, I apologize about the short notice, but I just got the information about that this afternoon. So I will be sending out a notice for a closure on the FDR ramp at Montgomery Street. And I think that's pretty much all I have right now for my update. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Yeah, Rick, before we go into questions, just some logistical things. I know there's typically a handover from DDC to Parks. Is that instantaneous, or does that happen once all the punch list items are done?
I can't speak to that. Maybe somebody from Parks or DDC or EDC. I'm sorry, EDC is our agency, could maybe able to speak to the actual transition. I do know that it will switch hands. I don't know the actual logistics of that though.
All right, so someone here from DDC or Parks who can answer that?
Oh, EDC.
EDC, sorry.
Yeah.
Usually DDC that hands over to Parks.
No one.
Trevor, Susan, this is Q from DDC. This is the Pier 42 is not a DDC project, it's EDC.
Right, EDC.
So I assume it's a coordination between Parks and EDC. I just want to clarify that.
Right. I'll refer back to that because I know we have EDC to talk about BMCR.
I'll get you some more info. I'll get the info to you on that, Trevor.
Right. And just so, I mean, I know you don't know, but sooner than later, it's really broad. Are we talking weeks, days, months?
We're probably talking weeks.
Okay, weeks. All right, let's go to the committee. Val first.
Yeah, I guess my question is, it sounds like you were talking about people using the soccer field, the tennis field, et cetera. What accommodations or what I guess outreach or because this is a what do you call this? Environmental justice area. So what approaches are being used to make this something that there's a diversity of people that use it, including the people of low income here on the Lower East Side? What is being done to encourage people of low income to participate?
I am representing the construction side of this.
Okay.
Regarding accommodations, I would probably refer that to Parks and the accommodations they would have.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay. All right.
I apologize. I can't answer that.
Yeah, no, that's totally understandable. Thank you.
David Adams.
Yeah, hi. You know, the Jewish holidays are coming up on the New Year, Rosh Hashanah, like the 25th, 26th. There usually is a ceremony or rite that we do on a waterfront, and I was wondering if there would be access to the waterfront on those on those days or anything, or will it because
right
of the
now,
closures? When the closures.
Regarding the closures?
Yes.
Where would you be accessing at? What would be the access points that?
What's happened is that when they meet to do it, we used to cross over the Corliss Park, you know, and the bridge there, and go just straight to the waterfront area, or in that area, right by the.
This is really for motorists. So I don't know that there. I mean, for any pedestrian, as far as I know, there's still access to the ferry stop via Corliss Hook. The only restriction would be, you know, obviously our construction site, which is still active. So there's really no access for the public in any of our construction areas.
I don't think they want. I don't think they're not going to be concerned about your construction site. So they just want access to the waterfront.
Yeah, there should be access maintained to the waterfront. The only thing would be the ramp at FDR Drive, Montgomery Street.
If someone could take a call out to the Jewish community, one of the rabbis, and see just to make sure that would be okay, or something could work out, I appreciate that.
I can do that. Yeah, I can reach out to them.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Right. Thank you. Just for clarification, Rick, because I know we talk about Upland and Pier 42, and there's a lot of projects going on, hence the 10 list agenda for tonight, that the Upland portion is the deck portion, the temporary deck, because it's not part of our original plan, but it is a temporary deck installation of basketball courts, tennis, and I think that's either a soccer or football field, correct?
Yeah, it's an interim,
right.
Part.
But it's right. It's just for clarification, because I think that there's still the Pier 42. There's another section that's under construction that's supposed to open next month. That's the park that will have more greenery. Obviously, that's the other portion.
It's switched. The interim is actually opening.
Right.
And then next, the full or the park would be opening next year.
Correct.
Yeah,
access, and we had talked about this quite some time ago about access from the southerly side, and I assume that there will be access available from the south to Pier 42. This Pier 42 deck.
As of right now, I've seen some plans for access via Montgomery Street, so there is going to be southern access as far as I am seeing right now. The details I don't know, but I can get that information when I know more about it.
Yeah, can we make that a priority? Because if we're opening in weeks, we need to make sure that we have access from the southerly portion of the park.
Absolutely.
Because it would be a real shame if the folks who live at Montgomery and South would have to go all the way up to Corliss Park, come back just to come back down when we can make that area accessible. I think that's a priority.
Yeah, I'll get those details to you.
Thank you. Yep. And we're going to go to Val.
Yeah, just to be clear, the soccer, tennis, and basketball courts should be opening very soon.
It's the soccer and the tennis courts. Yeah, that's the deck portion, and that should be opening very soon.
All right, so basketball will be further down the road.
Yeah, Basketball City is, I think, the basketball area. I haven't seen any basketball courts in our
area.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're basically talking tennis and soccer. All right. Thank you.
Val, let me check that. I know what you're talking about, but let me verify that. I'll get back to you on that, but because I know what you're talking about.
Well, you know, my major reason for asking is that he said that, you know, he's the construction portion. So the thing would be to advocate for the people in the environmental justice area for whatever is becoming available. So I just wanted to know that we're talking about soccer and tennis, and that there should be some outreach to the environmental justice areas down here to people. That was my only reason. Thanks.
Yeah, but with regard to your question of the design, I need to look at that design again. I for some reason, and perhaps I'm mistaken, I thought it included basketball courts, but I could be mistaken. But I want to check on that too. Any other questions from committee members?
Trevor, I actually, let me amend that. I think there are 4 like half court basketball courts. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yep.
So that will be opening too. Correct. All right. Just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Yeah. So we're talking basketball, soccer, and tennis.
Correct.
Okay. Thanks.
Right, thank you. All right. So we're gonna go to the attendee list, and I see a person whose phone number ends in 693. If you could identify yourself, I'm gonna unmute you. We hear something from 693 if you're on the phone. Okay, I'm not sure. We'll go back to that, and then we'll go to Tommy.
Hi, thanks. I guess you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
I think, number one, it's really important before EDC hands it over to parks, we get some real details about hours, who is going to open and close. Will the tennis courts actually be supervised the way they were in the park? Otherwise, it's going to be a free-for-all with nobody telling people when they can use the court, when they have to get off the court, time limits. And the other thing I think the community, we still have not solved, and this has to do with construction and the use, is we recently went out into that area and we measured during the warmer days, the temperature in the park on the track in the park part, and will be there, was 151 degrees. There is no shade. there's no bathroom, there's no water. I don't know how this is going to be a usable park during the summer when it's going to be, how do you play tennis when the surface is going to be 151 degrees? So I hope before we get this place open, we'll have a chance to talk to the Parks Department, how they're going to administer this.
Tommy, I would agree. And we have talked about this in detail for quite some time about bathrooms, water, and shade. I do think that Parks has some solutions for that. We're going to continue this discussion. Rick thinks that this is opening in weeks. So perhaps, Rick, if you can go to Parks with that question, or we can ask directly, especially with regards, because we've talked about it for years, with bathroom and water use, bathroom usage and ability to access water.
I can certainly get answers for those questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Tommy. Susan, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was reported to me that because of your request that there would be porta potties, at least for the time being at Pier 42.
Okay, that's excellent news, and I'm glad to hear that. But I think that we still need to continue that conversation. But that being said, thank you, Rick, for the construction update. We appreciate it. We haven't seen you in a while. Hopefully by next month, there will be something. Well, it's David Adams. Susan, if you can see that chat, that you'll have news about it opening and how this handover is going to go to Parks, because I agree, Parks is already a bit strained with staff, and add a new park. It'll be interesting. So thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Trevor.
Next up is let me see. I'm just Desiree. I'm just going to see if, because I mentioned, I know that EDC, it had a time issue, and I want to see if they want to do the BMCR update right now, or if they want to wait until after your update.
I think DDC is doing the BMCR update, right, Q?
Yes, it would be DDC. So I'm going to ask you, because I know EDC wanted to listen in whether if EDC is on the line. And I see Diana has raised her hand. Diana, would you prefer the ESCR update first or the BMCR?
It's up to you. I was on another meeting, but I'm done now, so
okay.
I leave it to your discretion. Yeah, TDC is correct. They'll be leading the update, but I'm here. However, I'll be here. So however you want to do it is up to you, Trevor. Thank you.
Well, I'd like you to introduce yourself, because I think it's important that we sort of meet you. So if you can introduce yourself. Did we lose Diana?
Woo,
oh, okay.
My light is really bright. Hi, everybody. I'm Diana. I'm from EDC. I'm an assistant vice president, and I cover Manhattan south of 96th Street and Staten Island. I'm the new day-to-day contact and representative from EDC for government and community relations. Prior to this, I was at Community Board 1 for over 10 years. So very familiar with community boards and have some familiarity, particularly with the BMCRs as proximity to LMCR. So I'm here, I'm representing EDC. I'm here to listen. DDC is giving an update, but if there are questions for EDC, I'm happy to take those and relay them back to our capital team.
Thank you, Diana, and welcome. It's nice to finally see someone in that position, but we welcome you here and to CB3. We appreciate it. That being said, Desiree, would you want to go now or after the BMCR? All right, that being said, we're going to have BMCR first then, so because we're pretty good on time, which is amazing. So let's go with the BMCR update.
Yeah, Trevor, if you don't mind, our update is really quick and I don't anticipate taking too much time here. So hi, everyone. This is Q Amiri from DDC, Department of Design and Construction, Coastal Resiliency Unit. We are, just a little background for those who are new, we have taken on the BMCR project for the construction phase from our sister agency, EDC, Economic Development Corporation. EDC handled the design phase and they transitioned the project over to our agency. We are currently in the procurement phase right now. No major updates just yet. Right now, the project is sort of we're sort of towards the tail end of the procurement phase. We're under review by the comptroller's office and anticipating to hear back within the next few weeks by the end of this month. And from there, we're hoping to have our notice to proceed for the contractor sometime around either side of mid-October, probably mid to late October. Once that comes in, then the contractor will go into their first preliminary stages of getting their staffing and their offices and trailers, all that lined up, and submitting some plans for DDC to our agency for review. And we won't be seeing any major activity or construction out on the street until probably the turn of the year, early January, give or take, probably into mid-January. So again, right now there's not much activity really happening that's on the public-facing side. And we're just waiting to get our approval from the comptroller's office to move forward. And we're planning to have a more robust presentation, I think in October, right around the notice to proceed. Once we get that, either October or November, we'll come back to community board and have some slides and a more in-depth presentation to sort of get ahead of the construction phase before things start, and walk everybody through the next steps before you start seeing activities around the neighborhood.
Appreciate that update, Q. And if you could let Susan know as soon as possible, or the CD3 office know as soon as possible, if we're going to need to put that on the October or November agenda, that would be extremely helpful.
Absolutely, we'll do.
And one question about timing, and I know we've talked about this before in detail, even before the pandemic and the pause, about the timing for the federal funds. I know there was an extension, but we were also in the impression that construction was going to start this quarter. Are there still issues with that extension for the spend down of the federal funds?
No, I think we're good on that end. And construction starts, that sort of has different definitions for different purposes. For our funding purposes, once we get the notice to proceed, the contractor is able to start pulling down funding from that source and starts. They're going to have to get their ducks in a row and start spending, sort of front load some of that money for the logistics. But then construction start for the community purposes has a different definition, and that's the day-to-day activity on the street that we won't be seeing until January. But overall, that's a good point, Trevor. I don't think we, or DDC as an agency, we're not anticipating any issues with our funding deadlines.
Thank you. I'm going to go to committee. Are there any questions about BMCR? One of the many acronyms that I don't see any hands. I think that was a quick update. So we're going to move to the ESCR update, and welcome Desiree back. So Desiree, you're up next.
Great. Thank you, Trevor. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Q. Thank you. Bye, Diana.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I just had a slight computer glitch. So I think everything is working now. Let me pull up the presentation full screen, and then I'll share my screen. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, can you see the screen? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect, great. Thanks everyone for continuing to stay on through the meeting. Once again, my name is Desiree Gazzo. I am with HNTB Lero, the Program Management Construction Management firm for the Eastside Coastal Resiliency Project. I'm joined here tonight with the Department of Design and Construction to present on Eastside Coastal Resiliency construction updates. So just to go over the highlights for this evening, we'll just mention the Envision Gold that we received for the project and Wedge certification. We'll go over the work with us, a couple of work with us updates, and then we'll have the overview of contracts, project area 2, very short couple of slides, and then project area 1, and then we just have a few items on what we've heard. Okay, great. So if you've been to the Eastside Coastal Resiliency website recently, on the front page, the hero page, you'll see that the Eastside Coastal Resiliency Project receives Envision Gold Award. So we have a team of folks working on the Envision documentation, and as you may or may not know, Envision covers the design through construction of the project. So there will be continued documentation throughout construction to make sure that this award is maintained. But there is a quote here from Mayor Eric Adams. And then if you click on either when we post this, it will take you to the full press release on the Envision Gold Award, where you could learn more about that. But it's a national, the Institute for Sustainable Infrastructure. So you can visit their webpage as well. And then we also received WEDGE certification, and that's with the Waterfront Alliance here in New York City. So we will be posting more information about that in presentations to come and on the website. That information hasn't been fully released on the website yet. For Work With Us, we just wanted to share a few items. There is the 28th annual Competitive Edge Conference that is targeted towards MWLBE, DBE, and STVOB, as well as prime contractors. That will be at the end of October. It's on Halloween. I don't know if they would have it on Halloween, but I don't know if you can go in costume or not. But it's a really good conference from what I've heard, and it again links the region's small businesses and locally based enterprises with leading decision makers across the industries, and that's right here in New York. So again, these are links, and will take you to the registration pages for those. And then September 21st, there's a Getting Started Responding to Contracting Opportunities. The Mayor's Office of Contract Services has an upcoming passport vendor webinar. For those of you who do work for the city, the passport program is something that you need to use when working with the city. So this is part of their ongoing series that they have. And then the ESCR project is planning our next quarterly Work With Us session. We're hoping that it's going to be in person this time. And we're looking for that to be towards the end of October. We've also been coordinating with the Lower East Side Employment Network, and they have some events coming up as well. So we could share those with CB3, unless I'm sure they share them with you also. But we are hoping to participate in those events as well. The image on the right for careers in procurement, that is from the Eastside Coastal Resiliency website. So we are currently looking to fill the 3 positions that are highlighted, 003 Senior Inspector, 009 Administrative Assistant, and 010 Payroll Specialist. Again, we have shared those openings with the CAG. I believe we've shared them with the community boards, and then as well with Lower East Side Employment Network and local hiring organizations. So we just wanted to share this information tonight. Project area overview, we're all aware with where we are here. For project area 1, much of the information that's on this slide remains the same as it has from previous slides. I know we weren't here last month, but the new work is mainly the flood wall construction at Montgomery Street Greenway, and we'll go over that with the map in the next couple of slides. For project area 2, we did put out an advisory earlier this week that Murphy Brothers work will begin the week of September 26th, and that will we will need to close down Murphy Brothers Playground to start that work. So that's a new update, and we'll again look at the map in a couple of slides for that. And then for parallel conveyance, again, the NTP is scheduled for September 2022. As Q mentioned with BMCR, PC is very similar. there is still a lot of onboarding of the contractor. There's a lot of steps before construction actually begins. So I know CB3 has made a request for PC to come to a CB meeting, and that team certainly will, we certainly will, once we have information to share that would be helpful to the community. So again, the construction start is anticipated for fall of 2022. However, the fall does continue, well to the end of the year. And then the contract duration is approximately 4 years. Okay, so we're going to start with project area 2. Let me just close this little. Okay, so the construction progress for project area 2, the restoration of Stuyvesant Cove Park north of East 20th Street is moving right along. They're doing an amazing job there. They've also started working on the greenway, which is on the opposite side of the wall of Stuyvesant Cove Park. So that's really been the kind of the newest work that's happening in project area 2. And we are presenting at next week's CB6 meeting. So again, we wanted to keep project area 2 short for here. And if you really want more information on project area 2 or have project area 2 questions, we do suggest you attend next week's CB6 meeting. But that is, again, the kind of newest work that's happening at project area 2. And then, as you can see here, the number 8 is Murphy Brothers Playground, and it is still open. However, work will begin there, or is anticipated to begin there the week of September 26th. And we updated the PA2 schedule just to reflect, the kind of overlap of Stuyvesant Cove Phase 1 and Stuyvesant Cove Phase 2, and then the Murphy Brothers Playground, which will be starting again this fall, and then Phase 1 of Stuyvesant Cove Park, which again is East 20th Street North, which includes the Solar One area, is scheduled to reopen before the end of the year. There were a few requests that we received to review the open areas. So we have this open areas map for Astor Levy Playground. That facility is open. If you haven't been to the playground there, you really should. It came out really great. We're very excited about it. So Astor Levy did open. Again, the flood wall and floodgate are there. There is still construction work here. As I mentioned, north of 20th Street is scheduled to open before the end of the year. Progress is moving along with south of 20th Street. The ferry terminal is open. That will remain open throughout construction. And then Murphy Brothers Playground is currently open, however, will start closure the week of the 26th of September. Just to review the Greenway, again, we've presented this before, but so it's in here for reference. This is the current Greenway plan. The Greenway is currently closed just from 20th to 23rd. And this is the way it will remain until this portion of the Greenway opens. Once that portion of the Greenway opens, when the contractor is ready, he will then, or they will then close down the southern portion of the Greenway, which will also necessitate the closure of the kind of pinch point here, which was the connection from PA1 to PA2. So there will be a bit of a detour. Again, the detour will be reduced from the East 37th Street. It will be reduced down to now East 20th Street because this portion of the Greenway will be open. However, the portion here between PA1 and PA2 will be closed. So again, I would ask if you have PA2 questions, please attend the meeting next week and we can speak more to that. We'll have more information there. So just quickly, again, the floodgate 18 was installed in July, and that's right here. It connects to the VA hospital wall, which you can kind of see the brick in this picture. And that's the floodgate being installed there. It is a very large floodgate. Again, if you haven't been to the new Astor Levy Playground, you should definitely go and see the floodgate as well as the playground. So we'll move into project area 1 now. Again, much of the work in the closed portion is just continuing from what has happened this summer, the soil stabilization activities and esplanade dismantling, the deep sewer activities and sewer pipe install. The tennis house demolition has been complete. That happened earlier this week. So again, the pieces that had been requested to be salvaged were salvaged and are with parks. And then the demolition again moved forward earlier this week. The Delancey Street and Corlears Hook Park, the pile installation for those 2 bridges have begun on the park side. For the new bridge, and that's again moving forward. The passive lawn has a partial closure for utility work. And then there is the ongoing Con Ed utility work, which I'm sure, those of you who live down by Montgomery Street are familiar with, near Montgomery Street and South Street. That will continue for a little bit longer as well. Again, the main kind of new work that's been happening is the flood wall activities. So again, the flood wall, the raised flood wall, or the not buried flood wall, so the part that's above ground, similar to project area 2, will be from Montgomery Street to Cherry Street. So that greenway just on the side of the greenway. So those are the activities that have been happening. The demolition portion is done and they are moving forward now. They're going to start the pile install. The contractor has been able to do most of the work during the day. So we are really excited about that because it, again, the contractor will not have to do the night work, which was originally anticipated. There may be some instances where night work will have to happen, but with the use of the slip ramps here that we have, they can do the work here and have a lot of the trucks that originally needed to use the greenway and the shared use path to enter the site. They can use the slip ramps to enter the site instead of kind of entering at Montgomery Street there. And they have enough room for the equipment so far. So they're looking to try to do as much of the work as possible during the day. And then the amphitheater asbestos abatement began. That should have been began. I'll switch to that before we post it, but it began around August 22nd or that week. And it is moving forward. I have a slide on that just in the next couple of slides here. To the north, the Con Ed work is still happening in the shared use path, and it will continue through Q2 of 2023. Again, the slip ramps are in use there. So I think the East Houston Street ramp has extended just a little bit further. And when the slip ramp is in use, there is a flagger down there, just making sure that all the pedestrians are safe when there are trucks entering and exiting the construction gate there. And again, we issue the weekly bulletins and advisories with the construction activities. We did receive some input on making things a little bit clearer. So we have tried to kind of color code open areas and bold certain things so that it was a little bit more legible. But again, we always welcome the community's feedback on that. So just to go over the construction work, we've seen this before. The bolded pieces are what is currently kind of happening on site. So there will be continued removals. Removals is a constant throughout construction. So that will move forward until we are literally in the restoration portion of the construction. We mentioned most of the other items here. And again, just that difference between the waterfront work and the inland work. And we have a link to our newsletter that was recently released. It was I think it was earlier this month. And that kind of, this image is in the newsletter as well. And it goes through some of the construction activities in there. So if you haven't looked at the recent newsletter, please do. It's on the website under project updates. We reviewed, I believe the last time we reviewed the soil stabilization was at the was one of the last CAG meetings. So this is the stone columns for soil stabilization. The stone columns will be installed in a grid within the project site. This is the augering machine that's used to auger a deep hole in the soil. And then the hole is then filled with crushed stone, which compacts to form a stone column. So there's a hollow pipe here, and the stone is lifted up in this bucket and fed through the top bucket, and then it goes into the pipe and forms literally a column of stone. And then there are, you know, quite a few. I could probably get the count for the next CB meeting, but stone columns within the soil here, and the grid of stone columns stabilizes the earth to protect it from impacts of extreme weather events, flooding, earthquakes, etc. And as I mentioned, I did put the link to the newsletter here, but we do go into you know, a bit of detail there, and there's photos in the newsletter that we just put out. But if you could see the site from your window, then you've been seeing there's several of these rigs that are installing the stone columns throughout the site. So that is what they are doing. Okay. And then, so construction photos for Corlears Hook Bridge. These are the piles that we were talking about. This is the park side, and then this is the neighborhood side. So these will, you know, these are the foundations for kind of the abutments of the Corlears Hook Bridge. So now that the piles are in, they will start building the bridge, you know, here in the near future. With the, you know, we'll start to see the rebar, similar to how the flood walls are built with the rebar cages, and then the concrete pieces. So that'll be, you know, exciting to see being built. Again, you know, you do have a nice view of the construction there, and seeing this bridge being built there. And then these are a couple of photos of the deep sewer excavation work that is ongoing. Again, we had mentioned in the early phasing conversations that this work was really imperative to get done right away. So that way they could then start putting the fill in those areas where it is over the deep sewer excavation work. So that is moving forward and looking really good. So access for East River Park. The red areas indicate the closed areas, as I think everyone is familiar with. But just to the south, there is a small piece of the passive lawn that is still open. Corlears Hook Park, again, is primarily open. It's just kind of what was Cherry Hill and the flagpole area that is closed. The signage has remained pretty much from the ferry to Corlears Hook Park. You know, I think there was a question earlier about waterfront access in this area. I will say that it is very limited due to the fact that, you know, starting kind of where this red line is, the waterfront access is closed for the construction. And then, you know, right now, just north of the ferry, there's a gate here that closes off the waterfront access north here. So there is still some waterfront access down here by the ferry, but it is very limited. So I guess, you know, if you can go down there and see if that is sufficient for the celebrations that, you know, that were meant to happen there. But again, the ferry terminal is still open, and there's access there, and there's signage to and from the ferry, you know, back and forth to Corlears Hook Park. This is our access plan, pedestrian access plan. It shows the fields that are open. We've coordinated with parks on the entrances. So these are posted throughout the site. And again, there's access from the Houston Street overpass, East 6th Street and East 10th Street. And I could also include here the link to the parks open amenities when we post this to the website. So this is the slide that we have on the amphitheater asbestos abatement. I believe many folks on the call have seen the first couple of bullets. We presented this at the community advisory group. You know, the sampling of asbestos had taken place quite a while ago. DDC had taken 13 samples of materials from inside the amphitheater and found no asbestos. In 2001, the Parks Department did construction at the site and reported no asbestos. And when again this section of the park was fully closed and inaccessible to the public, and the above ground structure was removed, there was a sub basement discovered behind the amphitheater. So work immediately stopped. Further testing was done, and it was found that some pipe insulation in the sub basement contained asbestos and had to be removed. So no work was done after that. The contractor had to bring on the proper subconsultants that would do the work to safely contain and dispose of the material in accordance with all local, state, and federal guidelines. So all asbestos materials are being isolated and contained in fully enclosed containment. If you can see the site, you will notice that there are kind of plastic coverings over the area here. Any materials that are removed are in kind of sealed packages, and they're put into a sealed container. So again, these are professionals, and that is what their job is to abate asbestos and I'm sure other materials from construction sites. So they are the people who are doing this work. It will take about 6 weeks, and there is air containment and air monitoring, and an independent consultant has also been hired to monitor the work. So again, you might see the public might see workers in Tyvek suits. They are the ones who are working literally with the material. So they need to wear the proper personal protective equipment mandatory for the work that they're doing. And just to give an update, the work is progressing. All operations remain on schedule. The independent inspection and air monitoring continues through the area. DEP has been on site to perform an inspection, and there will be approximately 4 to 5 more weeks of the removal activities. So again, everything is moving forward as originally planned, and it is in fully contained units. Upcoming construction work, again, this hasn't really changed from past presentations. Many of the work activities that are ongoing now will continue into, through the year. And then, the Montgomery Street and Greenway flood wall construction will begin. Again, that work is being closely coordinated with Gouverneur Gardens, and, our folks are working very close with them on that timeline. And that is still a bit uncertain whether work would start before the end of the year or it would be pushed into next year. So, again, we're in close coordination with those folks, and as we have more information, we will present that. But that is kind of the next large step here, or one of the next large steps in the southern portion of the project. So we just wanted to include that as again, as something that to keep track of. And then that work there connects with the flood wall. This is the flood wall along the Greenway, which is under construction right now. So again, the goal is to get the southern portion of the project done and start opening up those areas, and then keep progressing north. The Con Ed work and the shared use path is moving forward. And then again, the next bit of work that would happen in this area would be the Houston Street retaining wall. And once we get a better idea of when that will start, we will let you know as well. There was a request to review community impacts and just review where folks can find environmental monitoring. So the community impacts, I'm sure, again, everybody is very familiar with. We've had these conversations before, but there are detours and lane closures associated with the project. We've been working with DOT on signage. Our CCLs have been providing supplemental signage as necessary. And, again, we've heard back from the community on where additional signage is needed, and we, try to get out there as soon as we hear and post, new signage, etc. So we've been working with Parks Department, DOT, the contractor, to make sure that there is sufficient signage on site. Public transportation is maintained at all times, including the ferry landings, or especially the ferry landings. Emergency vehicle and pedestrian access is, again, always maintained. Again, it was through the greenway access. However, if the work is going on there are the slip ramps there as well, if anybody needed to get in the construction or the closed area of the park. Water service interruptions, we haven't really had water service interruptions with this project. However, that is kind of a standard community impact for DDC projects, so we did just want to include it here as well. Environmental monitoring, we do have the environmental monitoring website. So there's a snippet here from that. And then the air quality monitoring fact sheet is there as well. So you can check that out. Again, we have air monitoring, and we report the air monitoring at the community advisory group on a monthly basis. So the slides from the CAG meetings are on the environmental monitoring page as well. So while we release a quarterly report, we do report monthly at the CAG meeting, and you can see kind of right here, it says download 2022 PA1 CAG air monitoring. So you can go there to get the monthly reports. What we've heard, so recently we've had just a couple of, and this is the last slide here. Just a couple of, we've had some noise complaints with the demolition activities down by the flood wall. We recently had a recent complaint about the construction trucks around Montgomery Street. So we did check with the contractors, and most of the trucks are using the slip ramps due to the greenway work, the flood wall work that's happening down there. So we've also just today, we've reached out to Pier 42. I know, Rick, you acknowledged our email, and then Pier 46 about the construction trucks as well. So there is quite a bit of construction happening in that area. So all of our teams, will work together to try and address that. But we did receive that as a concern, so we are looking into that as well. For more on the flood wall construction, again, there was a question about that. We did include a slide here. And then this is the snippet from the newsletter, which has just a bit on the construction sequences for project area 1, which again, the flood wall portion is similar to project area 2. And then, the rest of the park is the fill, which is a little different. So it also goes into the soil stabilization process. So if you haven't read the newsletter, there's a link here. And you could access that again through the website. And then we just wanted to take a quick minute, and I know, we're almost at the end here, but we did just want to take a quick minute. Number one, to thank everyone who has come out to our tabling events. We've been trying to table at least twice a month the past couple of months, and we've had requests to table at certain locations, and we've honored those requests. And it's been, really wonderful. Again, there's still people who aren't clear about just the project in general. So just being able to say, that this is a flood protection or climate resiliency project, so people can ask questions, has been, we think, really helpful. We've been getting really great feedback. Again, our CCLs, pack up all the stuff and they go out there, and myself as well. So we all go out there, we print the materials, and we've had coloring pencils and things for the kids as well. We've attended the Nature Reach Family Day a couple of weeks ago. We were at Gouverneur Gardens. So we've been, trying to spread out across the community, and we would really like to continue that. And we just want to remind everyone that the community construction liaisons are here to help out and answer questions. And if they don't know the answers to things, and myself included, as here, we bring it back to the greater team. we're here to, again, provide information about the construction work. This project does have a very long history, of the design process, and everybody, in the construction side of the team is really doing their best to, address the questions. We were at, or they were at, I didn't go to that event, but they were at Corlears Park just the other week. And, there was more questioning than typical. Folks were there for, a very long time asking questions, and that's great. But it was, a little, it got a little uncomfortable for them at some points because it was just this consistent questioning, and some other folks came and started videoing the community construction liaisons and kind of pressuring them to answer questions that, again, they really didn't have the answers to, and it wasn't their responsibility to answer those questions. They would come from the agency and DDC, and that's why we often have DDC with us on the calls, so that there is a consistent messaging between our teams. And so we would really love to continue to do the tabling in the community, and would appreciate if just that professionalism was shown to the community construction liaisons, because as we have mentioned in the past, when a similar things have happened, they are people also, and they have jobs and families, and they're, we're all kind of doing the best that we can. So, there are definitely places for protest, and of course, we don't want to stop that at all. But we really would, like to continue the outreach into the communities, and just letting folks know what's going on out there. So I'm going to close with that. And again, thank everybody who has come to the tabling events, and we would again like to continue doing those moving forward.
Thank you, Desiree, for that update. I won't say any more about what you just said, but I think it was a little more than just questioning that happened there. But in any case, we will go to questions from committee members. And I see, I'm going to go in this order: Catherine, and then Val.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Desiree. But I have to tell you, I was at the last tabling event, and I was there when, obviously, I was trying to ask Sonia and Joyce some questions, and nobody was getting out of order. It's just that some of the people, somebody came in a deer costume, and I guess it was Sonia, got very upset. But initially, they were just asking questions, and and Sonia shut down the table early, and there were still people coming. And that was kind of upsetting. But what was more upsetting is I asked some questions. I was just trying to get some answers about things. And everything I asked was, we don't have the answer to that. We're not engineers. We don't do technical questions. And honestly, most of my questions had to do with the air monitoring. And people were asking about that, where they had asked questions before and they had gotten a response saying, either you have to do a freedom of information request, or you have to ask again, or we'll get back to you. And honestly, people are getting very frustrated, and I'm getting frustrated because we have yet to get a real printout of any kind of air monitoring. And as Val usually mentions, and I'll mention, this is an environmental justice area. In zip codes 1002 and 1009, it's a very high, people have high asthma rates. We had high deaths during COVID. There have been more and more reports that have come out about how bad air, how bad it is to be consistently exposed to air problems. And a problem, it's not even just about the about metals and things like that, because we just went through this whole thing with, was there or wasn't there arsenic, in the water at Reese houses. But the thing is, even PM 2.5s have consistently have been found to cause heart problems, respiratory problems, higher cancer rates. And I think it's unfair for the city to just constantly tell us we have to foil everything and we can't get a specific readout. The air monitoring that you pointed to in the newsletter, it's just in summaries. Why can't we get real time or at least even slightly delayed printouts? And can we get some kind of response from the health department to see if rates have gone up higher in this area? Because I'm telling you, I live right across the FDR Drive from the park, and I can tell, and everyone here can tell you that we have more dust and we have more problems because of the park. And I think it's unfair for us not to be able to find these answers. And why are we constantly told that we have to do a freedom of information request when we just want to get a printout and just want to know what we're being exposed to? And the same thing was true for the asbestos monitoring. We heard about the asbestos. I asked the CCLs about that. They said, we don't know. We can't tell you anything. You'll have to foil it. And I know you're telling us that everything is being done right. And I'm sure it is, and I'm sure you believe that. But I lived next to the World Trade Center during 9/11, and everyone told us everything is fine. And I now have a permanent respiratory condition because of it. They lied to us. So, I think you can understand why we would like to know what the actual air monitor, what the reports are. Why can't we get that?
Yes, thanks, Catherine. And we have received several questions about that. And that is a DDC policy. If we have our DDC folks on and they would like to, to speak to that.
City,
Catherine, let her answer the question, please, because I want to get DDC and there are some other folks to have. No, I understand, but let's see if we can get some questions answered.
Okay.
Yes, Catherine. Hi, Ophelia Rivas. So typically,
Ophelia, can you identify yourself?
Yes. Hi, Ophelia Rivas, DDC Intergovernmental Affairs. Thank you for your question. In terms of the FOIL, that is our policy. That kind of data, we don't just hand out, and it's not just DDC, it's all city agents throughout. Any kind of information like that at that level, we don't just provide raw data to the community. You have to do the Freedom of Information Act, and it goes to our FOIL unit, and then it's reviewed by our attorneys, which also is the reason. May I finish? May I finish, please? If we're both talking at the same time, we're not going to establish anything. Thank you. And so that's another reason why sometimes requests take longer than others, because it has to be reviewed by several people. And honestly, Desiree nor I handle the FOIL requests. It's through a unit and then the attorneys, and then they turn it around and they submit it back to the requester. So as much as, sometimes either us, we would love to provide that information to you. Unfortunately, that's not the, agency's policy or the city policy in general. And we can't just, give you the information. And in terms of the CCLs, I wasn't there, but I have experienced other instances where I was, aggressively approached. So I can, I can pretty much understand if they felt threatened. I don't know what happened there, but in any case, there in the past, there has been several instances where people have been pushed, have been screamed at. And I'm not saying it happened in this, but I'm just saying in the past. So because of that, our group is a little more sensitive and a little more careful. And we're also, we want to be safe and we want the staff to be safe. So for safety reasons, that's why they decided to pack up, because frankly, we said, if you don't feel safe, then just leave, because that's important, staff safety. And if the past instances didn't happen, then it wouldn't be an issue. But because a lot of aggression has been made towards us, and my colleague in the past was pushed as well, because those things, we said, if you don't feel safe, just leave. So that, whether you say it was safe or not, if they felt unsafe, then they have a right to just remove themselves from the situation. And I'm sorry that they did not have all the answers for you in real time, but it's just not possible for them to have it, because sometimes they aren't the professionals or the experts on that topic. And also they may not have all the information, or they may not be privy to it, because there's engineers who work on it, or like, PMCs who actually manage it in the higher level. So they may not have access to that information. And instead of giving you the wrong answers, they're honest with you and say, we can get the information, we can go back and ask for it, but themselves, they don't have it. So, and as always, you can reach out to Desiree. We have the PIMA system, there's email. So even if you get frustrated with the CCLs, reach out to us. There's other channels and avenues to ask for questions. So there's no need to like kind of gang up on the CCLs, because they're just there to provide as much information as possible and try to work with the community, but it's really not their fault.
No, it was just kind of shocking because I'm telling you, I was just standing there and they were just asking questions. And I understand that there was some history. It was just kind of shocking the way it happened. But I just have to tell you that the whole thing with foils, we're never going to get an answer. And you're asking us to just accept a city policy where we should have an absolute right to know what we're breathing.
Well, I disagree. Well, I disagree with you're never going to get an answer, because with a foil, we have to answer. So that's not possible. We will answer your foil, and they are working on your foil. So that I guarantee, because not only are you asked for it, the CAG, there's other folks who have asked for things under the foil. So we are working on it, and we can't avoid it, especially with the project this high profile, everyone's paying attention to it. There's no way. So I disagree. And we will respond to the foils as we always do to folks' foils. But we just need time, because we can't just, foil process take time. So, but they will get a response.
And sorry, just to add to that, so the graphs from the air monitoring are included in the quarterly reports. I know you're looking for the kind of numbers, but the graphs that show the data are in the quarterly reports. If you were unaware of that, it is more than just a summary. The actual graphs are there as well. Just wanted to add that in case you weren't aware.
Let me just add something to that. I know that there was, when they first did air monitoring reports, folks had said it was a little too complex and a little too much information. So at that request, folks, they simplified the air monitoring reports, so they don't include as much raw data and as much in-depth information. But that was a request of community members who found it difficult to sort of interpret.
Okay. Well, can the community board talk to the health department and have them do an assessment to see if there has been any raise in the rates of respiratory or asthma, anything like that?
Well, if they have that information, I'm sure we can look into it.
I'm sure we can ask and they can get it.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they can. I'm just saying that's not a difficult thing in terms of what the asks are. But let me move to Val. She's had her hand raised for quite some time. So Val, you want to go?
Yeah, I guess two things. One, some of what I've been hearing, or some of the concern that people have, is hearing the whole issue of the arsenic in Jacob Riis houses. So I guess my question would be, is any of your monitoring something that you could share to alleviate people's concern about that? Because that is one of the things I've heard people say, in terms of the fact that the East River Park and this whole construction is so close. So that's one question. The other question, I'm looking at the air quality monitoring. I don't know what this is. East Side Coastal Resiliency. It's a 2-page, I don't know if you can see with this, but anyway, it's a 2-page fact sheet that you put out about air quality monitoring. And now previously, one of the things it talks about is the fact that the EPA has set a 24-hour weighted average, and that previously your chart showed a 15-minute interval. so that even if something went to what looked like a high level, it was based on a 24-hour number, not a 15-minute number. So I guess my question has been with this, because it also says on this sheet that you do an air monitoring update at CAG meetings and through the ESCR quarterly air monitoring found on the website. Let me just be truthful. I did not go to the website, but my question is, have the levels gone to some place of concern in the last quarter? And if they have, what has been done? Because I thought that what they were doing was using a 24-hour weighted average, and they were looking at it every 15 minutes, which meant if in 15 minutes it went to close that number, that you could address it, do some mitigation, and it really was actually very safe because it was a 24-hour number that you were responding to in a 15-minute period. So that's my question, because I think, and like I said, honestly, I didn't look at it. I will look at it for the next time. I will look at the air quality monitoring report, but I'm not sure the date it is. But anyway, that's my two questions.
Great. So Val, I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to speak to the air quality monitoring first. You are absolutely correct. There is, the EPA does measure air quality kind of impacts based on a 24-hour average of the data that is received. Again, the Eastside Coastal Resiliency measures in an average 15-minute increments.
Yeah.
So that's the data that we have. And for this project, for PA2 and for PA1, in the past quarter and really, this year, there have been, minimal, kind of increases in the PM levels. And they have only been, most of them have been for 15 minutes or less. So we are very, very much under the 24-hour average. There has been, again, minimal impacts that the air monitors are reading. So
let me just say, so when there's a problem at the 15 minutes, you immediately have done some mitigation so that it doesn't go for 2 hours or something.
Right. Well, when there's an alert level and then there's an exceedance level. So once there's an alert level, again, I'd have to go back to the data to see what exactly happened. Sometimes it spikes. Sometimes if there is a spike, it might just be immediately past the alert level. But again, if a concrete machine is delivering, materials and it's very dusty, that's happened at project area 2, the contractor will receive that notification that, there is a kind of an increase. And then they could see on site, they're there, everybody's there, that, okay, this construction vehicle is directly underneath the air monitor, and this is why this is happening, so it's pretty clear, they get the alerts, and you could see, what's happening on site. Several of the, if the alert has gone off, it's been on a weekend or after hours or, but they're not steady, they're not consistent. Again, it was a 15-minute, increase, and then it goes back down to normal. So there hasn't been any, anything trending on a higher level. In regard,
let me just ask. And so that information is available to the community.
Yes.
Okay.
So in the quarterly reports, the graphs are all there that show the,
so we don't need a foil for that. We can just get that info.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And we release the graphs on a quarterly report, and then we report to the community advisory group monthly on the status of the air monitoring from the month prior, because we have to wait till, the beginning of the following months to get all the air data. And then we report at the CAG for the data for the previous month. And we don't include the graphs in those updates, but there is a summary. And, if it was, shown that it was because of construction truck or because of a delivery truck idling, or, that will be there as well.
And
Yeah.
in terms of the arsenic, thank you for that question, Val. So just so everyone knows, as soon as it happened, we started working with DEP because we want to make sure everything is safe and, everything is going correctly and comply with our sister agencies. And as everyone knows, arsenic was concluded a false claim under the investigation. And while we were working with DEP, we did our own homework and we found that the drinking water situation at Reese had no connection to ESCR. The water supply infrastructure for the development is an enclosed pressurized system location on the other side of the FDR drive, away from the park where we're doing the work. And in terms of us doing the minor work on East 8th Street to East 13th Street where Jacob Reese is located, it's for Con Ed. So we're installing a new gas line near the 10th Street Bridge. And that really, the gas line is not intersecting the water supply. So they don't connect, they don't intersect, so they don't overlap each other. So it wasn't related in terms of ESCR, any arsenic. And as everyone knows, in the reports, it was a false reading from the contractor that NYCHA hired. So I just wanted to make that clear and to let everyone know, even though it wasn't our work, it wasn't related to us, we took it seriously. We worked with our sister agencies to get to the bottom of it and investigate. Because, as much as people would like to disagree, we really take the community's safety and health concerns seriously. Desiree, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Thank you, and thank you, Val. I'm going to go to Robin next.
Hi, thanks. Hi, Desiree. I wanted to address the public session, the public tabling that you're talking about, and understand that, obviously when someone feels unsafe, you can't tell them not to feel that way. Obviously they feel that way. And so, but I'm wondering what you might be doing to sort of reassess the situation and figure out, the mitigations to make it work rather than just canceling them or not announcing them. How do you really mitigate the risks and make changes that these can happen, because they're super important. They're probably more important than the website, than any emails, because people want to interact one-on-one. And so, things like if you're going to be in parks, PEP officers present, community affairs, personnel present, chairs and tables, activities, giving away water, swag, things that are going to make people feel welcome. And I think most importantly, having an expert at every one of these tables, somebody from the engineering department, somebody from someone that can actually answer questions, so that people don't walk away, and that your two people don't feel nervous and anxious and like they haven't helped. So I think all those things could happen for this project. This is huge. There's so many questions. As you know, living by this park and seeing it every day, it's super scary to not really know what's happening. So I think those are all things that can happen. I think the Parks Department can help and be involved. You've got these two people on staff. It's really about community relations and how to make these things happen. So I'm happy to talk to you offline as Robin Chattel to help you. I really want to help make this a positive experience for everybody involved, and so that people walk around knowing that they are people that know the answers, that they do feel safe. I wanted to ask if you have any if the DC maybe has thought about a relationship with the libraries, and at the local libraries, having this information available for free for people to look at, whether it's a dedicated, access to the website easily, or whether it's updates constantly. I know this costs money and someone has to do it, but at the Sewer Park Library, for example, just leaving updated copies of the plans, so people can have something to look at, things like that. And also one other thing, I know we had talked about, and this is pre-COVID, that there'd be some kind of a storefront space for people to go to. Is that happening? Does that exist? I think it'd be really helpful. to put that back into play now that COVID is that we're sort of going back, to no masking and being able to have people be in spaces. I'd like to see that happen. So if you could let us know if that's on the timetable. Thanks.
Yeah, Robin, I think those were some really great suggestions. We certainly don't intend to stop the tabling. We definitely want to move forward with the tabling. I think, we kind of just took a brief pause for the tabling to kind of reassess, like, as you've mentioned. And really, again, all of the other tabling events were really great. Like you said, we had swag handouts. DDC has provided us pencils and pens and water bottles, and and it's been wonderful. Like I said, we made the coloring pages and we want to continue to do that, crosswords, etc. I think it seems like when we table at, we have tabled at Seward Park and in front of the library there, and that was helpful. And then we've partnered with or coordinated with Abrams Art Center to table outside their facility as well. And we'd like to, also table outside schools and things like that. So we are going to move forward with that. I think a lot of the city resources are very stressed right now. And I don't want to make that a reason why we couldn't have a PEP officer at the tabling event. We could certainly reach out to have, more people available. We usually do let, if we're around the park, we do let Parks Department know, if we're in a park, we do have to fill out a parks permit. So we have, let the enforcement agencies and PEP, and Parks PEP know that we would be on site. But it is also unfortunate that we would have to have kind of security there, for tabling. Again, this is something that, DDC has had CCLs, for years. And, of course, all projects are different, but, they really, again, have, specific knowledge of the project that, as Ophelia mentioned, this is a very complex project. And to have, again, where I could certainly take back having, professional engineers at the tabling events, but that's also really not, that's not kind of their role. So again, I will take it back. I know it's been requested before, but we do also have other formats for asking these types of questions. And honestly, it's the same questions that are coming up. It's not like we're being asked new questions that we can't answer. We're kind of giving the answers that we have, which is, this needs to be foiled. There is air monitoring, and this is all that can be done at this time. So it's not, we're not getting new questions that we can't answer. It's the same questions that we've been receiving. Why can't the design be changed? These aren't questions that we can answer, so they're not in our court. They're not in our decision making. That these are city questions. And, so maybe some of the things that people are asking need to be addressed, in a different way, but it's not at a tabling event with the CCLs.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. I understand that. And I haven't been at the table, and, again, maybe, maybe that, the experts, the engineers, that this is something that the city says this is part of their rotation, and part of your rotation is, you're on site for an hour, there's 10 people, and every, whatever, you rotate 10 people or 5 people, and that's the rotation. And for the life of this project, it has to happen. And that's just what their job has to be. Or also, I don't know if you have the same, questions being answered or being asked, and maybe you print that you have something, a big poster board that says, that answers, basic questions of that, I understand that questions all the time. I get that. I could be producing an outdoor film in a park and people are like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, there's a film here, but so you could put those answers on a board. What does foil mean? Why can't, why is the park design not changed? Whatever those top, so ways to help everybody. But I think the more, help, and I understand about the city and I know what's going on with your budget. So I thank you, Desiree, but I again, this is, I think what again, this is missing is sort of that, and that's your role, but your role is a little different in that, this project having a person who's really a community liaison, who's thinking of all these things and making it happen. And I'm sure your 2 people you have on staff are doing a really great, are really doing a good job, but that person who's trying to make these things happen, and I know it can't be you all the time because you're doing all the construction, but thank you. That's
No,
it.
you know what? I'm out there a lot, and I will just reiterate, 90% of the community asks questions about the project that we can answer, and it really is the questions that we hear. And again, I'm not here to point fingers at anybody, but it's people that are very educated about the project that are asking us the questions, and they know that we don't have the answers. So that's the part that is what we can't control. So it's not the community when we're out, in the community and away from the park that's asking us what is foil and what is this. They're asking questions about the project. What is going on? What are those big cranes doing? That's what the community construction liaisons are there to answer. What is the construction that's happening? And it's just different than, and again, we could have more conversations about this at a different place and explore it more, but I think.
Yeah, we sure will, because I think we spent a lot of time on that. And Robin, I'm going to concede and go to Val and Kay, and then to attendees have questions, because we really need to wrap this up, and this is why we're going to change the format of how we meet. I don't know what we're going to do next month, but it looks like we're going to meet in person. But we kind of talk about the same things every single meeting. And we have other, as you see, there are 10 items on our agenda for tonight and other flood resiliency projects that we really need to make sure we focus on the entire community. I know this is a big project, but we spent many years. And I understand what Desiree is saying, because I know what type of questions they're getting. And they're not coming from folks who don't know. It's really just a protest format. But in any case, I'm going to go to Kay and then Val.
Can I just say something, Trevor, to add to you? I mean, if the same conversation has been happening for years, and there's obviously something wrong with how it's being.
Robin, it's called protest. That's what it is. It's just a form of protest. Right. It's called protest, and that's fine. It's just a form of
protest.
But
it has to be dealt with in some way. And so how can we as a community board,
we've been trying for many years. Yeah, we've been trying for many years, and now it's 9:42 at night, and unfortunately, we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
But let's go to Kay, Robin. We're going to wrap up the community portion of it, and then we're going to go to some of our attendees, and we're going to sort of move on.
Wait a minute. Am I next?
Yes, you are. No, I'm sorry. Kay is next. Kay hasn't spoken.
Okay.
So
all right. Okay.
Go ahead,
Kay. I just wanted to say I'm sorry that happened to your people. No, PEP is, our parks currently are overrun with drugs and shootings, and I don't think it's the job exactly right now, and the city is in a lot of trouble. And but people are very angry and upset about a whole lot of things. I think we all have to figure out who we point that at, but I just want to apologize. That's all.
You're right on.
Now let's wrap up from a community standpoint.
No, I have a question.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. On this air quality monitoring fact sheet you have, it says we're taking steps. I live across the street, so my concern is my health, and that's what I hear people that I know talk about. And so it says we're taking steps to control dust and limit emissions during construction. So my question is, it says that you're going to cover and secure loads of all trucks, and you're going to cover stockpiles with anchored tops. You're going to use barging for large deliveries, and you're going to use ultra low sulfur diesel fuel and minimize the use of diesel engines. Have you been doing these things to control dust and limit emissions with this project?
Yes, Val, and we've had them in previous presentations. I've had some photos of some of the erosion and sediment control things that we're employing. But yes, we are employing all of those methods throughout the construction site, which is another reason why our air monitoring data has been low. It's a combination. It all works together. The mitigation techniques that you mentioned, the air monitoring, and the construction oversight and agency oversight. It's a full package of things that again, reduce the occurrence of, or the chance of spikes in the air monitoring.
So here's my quick last question. This 2-page sheet that I have, I don't know when it was dated, but when I look at what's on this sheet, I'm thinking the average person that lives down here that's concerned about their health, these are the questions that they would want answered. And I mean, this is done in a simple way. So I don't know, but I would think that it would be important, because my sheet just has question number 1 on the front. We are constantly monitoring air quality and our construction, and tells you what the measurements are, where they're at. Number 2 is we are taking steps to control dust and limit, and that's 1 page, and it's pretty simple to look at. And then we're guided by federal air quality and environmental oversight, and then the fact of where people can get air quality updates. And I think this is a nice 2-page sheet that answers the questions that most people would have about their health, their breathing, etc. So my suggestion, I don't know if this is what you're doing, but my suggestion would be that you have this kind of information available at tables, because people, I would think these are the questions and answers that people have that are concerned about their health, their breathing, etc. So that's just my other comment, is have a paper like this, because I think this is an old questionnaire that I have. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Val. And our CCLs have like bins packed with the advisories and sheets like this, the work with us sheets and facts, and we bring it all out. So we have all the information there. And just to be completely honest with you, while tabling, and again, I've been to almost every tabling, we don't really get a lot of questions about air quality at the tabling events. Most of the questions are, again, more geared towards what is the project, how long will it be, what is the phasing, what are the construction activities. Those are the types of questions for the most part that we've been getting. We do have some conversations on the history of the project and are there other alternatives and things like that. However, honestly,
that's why I said I think that people that are concerned about their health that live nearby, those are the questions. I think Trevor was saying that a lot of times the questions that's not where they're coming from. What I'm saying is I kind of think, because I think even somebody else said something about people's breathing and asthma, etc. So I think that people that are concerned about their health, this page, these 2 pages, answers the person's question that is concerned about their health. So I just think that should be available. So that it's like, listen, for the folks that's concerned about their health, there's these 2 pages here that's in simple language for them. And then there's other questions that I think Trevor was, had a point in terms of where folks are coming from. But I just think for those people concerned about their health, those 2 pages talk about breathing, the dust, etc. That's all.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank you. That's right. We're going to move on, because I really thought we were going to end a lot earlier. And since we're moving to a new format next month, which will be in person, we're going to change, how we meet, but we'll discuss that at another time. But let's quickly go to the 2 questions, or 2 people have raised their hands. It'll be Tommy and Wendy in that order. I won't put up a timer, but we're going to keep this brief. Go ahead, Tommy.
Thank you. First of all, I want to tell Ophelia and everybody that I foiled the soil reports in April of this year. And I just got a notice from DDC and the FOIL administrator that they still don't give me a date when I'm going to receive the FOIL request that I asked. And my request was, we do know that there are air monitors, but we don't know, because we can't see the data, that they're all operative and collecting data. We have consultants who would like to review that data, because you're talking about cumulative effects. And just as we saw, and I want to correct you, there is no report that there's no arsenic at Reese houses. They say there are very low trace levels. And again, just like here, we're not seeing the actual data. So the trace levels could be set at a level which, if they're cumulative, could be very dangerous. So please don't say that the foils are given, because mine is now at least 5 or 6 months waiting, and that could be data that could be critical to the community. Secondly, the passive lawn.
Tommy, you want to wrap this up, please?
Yeah, can you give me my 2 minutes, please? I've been waiting all night, okay?
Yeah, I'm just trying to wrap it up if you have a question, that's all.
Yeah, I do have I just want to say, I want to know who was in charge of taking care of what you're still calling the passive lawn. It no longer exists. We gave permission for that lawn to be put in December of this year at the request, during our injunction, at the request of the city. We said, okay, go do it. It is now a piece of rotten turf, which is sitting there unusable. I want to know, just like with Pier 42, as this park comes online, who's responsible for the watering and the maintenance of this park? Because that passive lawn is no longer usable.
All right, thank you, Tom. There's some questions buried in there, so I'm gonna give Desiree and possibly Ophelia a chance to respond. So go ahead.
Sure. I'm just gonna respond to them. I think we addressed the air monitoring and the foiling, or, Ophelia did. And, the DDC units that handle that are very aware of when it was submitted, and they are working on it. And that's the most we could say right now. Ophelia, nor I, or any of us on the call are not experts in the arsenic incident that happened at NYCHA. So we don't have a further comment, to speak to that. That is something that, someone else would have to report on the exact findings. I think Ophelia was just making the point that it was not connected to the Eastside Coastal Resiliency Project. And the passive lawn, it was, kind of always known that there would be construction in that area. Once the utility work there is done, I would imagine it would be returned back to the passive lawn. We are jointly kind of looking after it with Parks Department, so we will take your comment back to them. And then future maintenance of the Eastside Coastal Resiliency Project is in the hands of the Parks Department once areas open.
But please, Desiree, there is no lawn there. Please don't say there's a lawn.
Yeah, it's the area with the lack of rain that we've had, it's in a very desolate area of the park. So it is, not as green as the other places in the park are. Again, we'll talk to Parks about the best way to handle the, again, trying to get it wetter. It's been a very hot summer. I think it's cooling down now. We have seen people, again, using that area. But, again, I will bring it back to Parks, and we'll see what we could do to try and, improve that area a bit.
All right, thank you, Desiree. I don't know if Ophelia wants to respond, but Ophelia, if you want to, but I'm going to let Susan address something. So Susan, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just briefly address the Reese Water issue. There is a report saying that the arsenic reading was incorrect. The vendor that did that, which was not a New York State approved vendor, did issue a retraction. And there's an investigation going on how all these problems happen, but there is definitely a report saying that the arsenic was a false reading.
All right, thank you. Wendy.
Hi. So I have a couple questions and a comment being that I think we need a town hall, and that it be taped, and that there be available in 3 languages. But here's my questions. Since you brought up the employment fairs, Desiree, and at the last CAG, you talked about PA2 employment, and you had the breakout, and it showed that just 2.5% of the jobs went to people in Manhattan. And you said that the PA1 numbers are coming. Have they been compiled yet?
We are still working to compile those numbers.
Okay, well, I hope it's higher, because I know jobs was something important to people. Another thing was commitment number 6 on the big commitments, and that's to get a platinum in vision. That was a goal, to get platinum, but you only achieved gold. What happened? What's the disparity between having the highest rating and a lower rating?
I would have to come back to you with that. I did not complete all of the Envision paperwork, and I'm not privy to the, why the project received gold instead of platinum. So I could take that question back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just a reminder, and Desiree has pointed this out, that questions can be submitted through the website and they have to be addressed. That might cut some time here because we seem to do this for quite some time, but I'm encouraging everyone to do that. And they do, for every meeting that we have, there is a what we've heard slide, which is up right now for the common questions. Josephine, you sent a chat message. Was there something you wanted to ask?
No, Trevor.
All right, thank you. All right, so thank you for that update. We're going to close this meeting. I just want to let the committee members know, and Susan, if I'm wrong, you can correct me, that we will probably be meeting in person next month. Susan?
It appears that way. There will not, looks like there will not be any emergency orders extended.
Right. And for committee members' purposes, we are going to do some changes with regards to how we do agenda items, because I think we are still lacking in discussing other things, and I don't mean to cut people off, but I think we're spending an awful lot of time on things that we seem to discuss every single month. I don't think that's helpful for us as committee members. I know these are big projects, but I think we neglect other projects just because of the length of time we spend on things. It doesn't mean that we're not going to discuss it, but there are many avenues to discuss each topic, including that question Q&A that's on the website for ESCR. That being said, thank you, Desiree, for ending this meeting. Ryan, if you want to close us out with attendance.
Yep, I'm gonna go
we will see
backwards.
folks.
Thank you.
You're going to confuse us, Ryan. Go ahead.
Thank you.
I'll try and wake everyone up again. Troy Velez,
Yes.
Josephine Velez,
Yes.
Daniel Tano, Robin Chattel,
Yes.
Valentina Jones,
Yes.
Catherine Freed,
Yes.
Carlin Chan,
Carlin clicked in. Carlin?
Carlin Chan,
Go ahead.
Yaron Altman,
Yes.
David Adams,
Confused, yes.
Ryan Gillum, yes, Kay Webster,
Yes.
Trevor Holland,
Yes, present.
Carlin Chan,
Carlin is not here. All right, so that closes us out, folks. We will see each other in person most likely next month. Enjoy the rest of the evening and the weekend that's coming up.
Have a good
Good night,
night,
everyone.
everybody.
Thank you, Trevor.